shack at. The bottles getting empty up the crack and we stacking chips. All of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated pub sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced. Leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call a truce. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon 'cause we be pubbing.
What's up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Friday, June 23rd to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. Very successful day yesterday. I went 6-0, which I needed badly. Jose cashed with the Kansas City Royals at plus 290. Spreadsheet play today cashed, has now cashed 7 of 8. TJ's gift cashed, is now 20-8 on the show. I have all the statistics here, and they're very, very impressive. Feels good. You know, we cap all night and then wake up at dawn and keep working, and it's a lot easier when you are succeeding. And that's exactly what we did yesterday. Extremely important stuff. We must continue to win. I can't hammer that home more. Yesterday's gone. It was excellent. We must continue to win. Shout out to all the cappers rolling with us. Justin McElvey in the house is going to miss a live show, leaving now, heading 4 hours to Cincinnati to see his Braves, but wanted to drop his play in stacks. Play today, Albies. Honestly, Albies over 1.5 bases at minus 113. And Ron Crawford, spreadsheet play today is in. What a performance the spreadsheet play today has been for our show. A couple things. You know, Ron came before the season started and said, I want you to track every single spreadsheet play today. I love that. Then he's not missed one show. If I'm not here and Jose's running it, he's still giving out a spreadsheet play today. If it's the Peter Loshak show, he's still giving out spreadsheet play today. 25 wins, 18 losses, 58.1%, plus 7.1 units, ROI plus 16.56%, average line minus 102. The gift from our friend TJ, now 20-8, hitting at 71.4%, plus 12.03 units, ROI plus 39.7%, average line minus 103. You know, I said yesterday, and I meant it. The chat's rolling, our specialty plays are cashing, and I felt like I was letting people down. It was a big day yesterday. I was also thinking, and I just wanted to pose this to you guys, but for me, my ROI is so much higher when I see somebody with a take and say, oh, I don't agree with that, and this is why, than when I say, yeah, I agree with that. Because you have conviction when you don't agree with somebody you respect and you want to go to the window with it. For me, the ROI is just because I disagreed vehemently with everybody on the over in the Bombers Lions game. Like, I couldn't disagree more. I was like, why is everybody on this over? It's just I couldn't understand it for the life of me. We cashed that first half under, full game under very easily. Now we can only catch the first half under by a point, but it was a last-second touchdown. That is the reason why I only cashed it by a point. And it feels good, but let's not sit in how good it feels. Let's get right to work. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play today is on the Boston Red Sox. So I have action on both of the specialty plays here. The stacks play today that Justin McElvey is going to be at. I'm on the first 5 over 6. Got that at minus 115. That was the final bet I put in this morning. I have 6 bets that I've sent in. Ron Crawford's on Boston minus 112. I almost tripled up on my 2 unders because I really believe in them. And at first, it was only the Brewers Guardians under that was the market was with me. The market was going against me in the White Sox Red Sox. That's changed. Now I don't know what's happened in the last 2 hours, but as of 2 hours ago, it started moving to 8s, and I was like, oh, God, I should just go in full game, triple up. I'm not tripling up. I'm on the first 3 under 2.5 on both games and the first 5 under 4.5 in both games. Nuke Worker in the house says LSU, my moneymaker. Had the minus 1.5 plus 165 to get some plus money. Thought he was cooked. 2-run homer in the 11th. Did you see that play by the first baseman to get the runner out at home? LSU first baseman. That was as exciting as, it reminds me of Derek Jeter. Against the A's. in the was that the wild card, or I think that I can't even remember which early first round because it's a while ago. But it reminded me that was that's baseball at its finest. What a play. Runners on the corners, 1 out. It was beautiful. Viper MB in the house, crypto-ish. There's TJ. Says, so happy for you how you smashed the San Diego game. I needed that shit. Miami -1 wins. Yes, it does. And now 20-8. Viper MB's on Boston, moneyline Detroit, first 5. New York, Texas, over 8.5 is what's locked in so far. Wow, I didn't realize. Oh no, was that always? I thought that total was at 8 in the Yankees Texas. And I actually leaned to the under, but I didn't move on it. There's Alondo. Hope you had a great 31st birthday. And DC Capper. Hope you had a great 62nd birthday. We had Justin McElvey's 45th birthday on Wednesday. What a great group. I love capping with you guys so much. Vitalis, thank you. Yeah, nice. It was very, very, very important. It was important on a whole bunch of reasons. You know, obviously the cash is paramount and most important thing. But just, confidence-wise and just, that's all that stuff is important. Serious business, ready to get to work. Okay, the gift is in from TJ. Seattle, Baltimore. First 5 over 4.5 at -110. Let's have that copied and pasted so we can easily discuss it. I found that game really interesting. I like the pitching matchup between Gilbert and Gibson, and I can't wait to talk about it. There's my guy, Billy Friedrich in the house. Subhuman Gaucho top set says, good morning. Percentage plays in already. 3 leans to discuss. Mickey Cohen coming off a winning day. There's JT Eel, Troy Torrance in the house. Marco Liu, Real Deal Prime. Troy Torrance has never been so locked in. You think I had a good day yesterday? Troy Torrance up 9 units yesterday. 9 units. And my God, I hope you guys are following him on Twitter. There's Joey Marinaccio in the house. Razor sharp picks ready to get to work. And Londo says, my parlay cash big. Padres first 5. KC money line. Marlins money line. Wow, Londo, that's awesome, dude, on your birthday. Oh, dude. Oh, that was awesome. That was awesome. And there's BJ. God, I was thinking of you, man. I mean, Jesus, you made, 4 times what I made in that baseball game yesterday. $2,000 bet with BJ on the Padres. I love it, man. I love it. Real Deal Prime says, today's a great day. What a great group. There's Moose Money in the house. We've missed you. Nasty Nate ready to get to work. And the database play of the day, 2 and... Oh, I would like to track it, Troy. Let's track it. Let's do that. Oh, feels good. There's Rocco Rogers. Darren Turner had the under in the Braves game. I don't... I just wanted the first 5 over 6. I wanted to attack Shawver in his first road start, and I think Luke is very susceptible for the Reds. But we'll talk all about it. Nothing to worry about, Darren. Or are you saying that you had that yesterday? Let me know. There's DC Capper cashing on his 62nd birthday. Oh, it's great to see you guys. All right, Joe Yurkovich, Jedi for life. Danny Lopez, poker addicted 79. Our guy Piker, Nasty Nate, Joe Yurkovich, Reds team total over 4.5. Says Reds 21-9 last 30 games, scoring 5+ runs. Great hitting weather in park. It absolutely is. I like that look. I think Shawver. I love. You guys know I love team totals on dogs. I'm already involved in that game on the first 5 over 6. I may need to join you here. And that'll be our first MLB game that we will discuss here. The great Bobano joining us for CFL and MLB. Bobby Boucher ready to get to work. BJ says he's on the Braves and Giants. Says, let's win again tonight, fellas. Horrible spot for the Diamondbacks. 3 states in 3 nights. And he simply thinks the Braves are a better baseball team. Let's copy and paste that. Mark Mint says it was exciting. He gave LSU and the under 8 out. Nice job, Mark Mint. So let's get all this ready. Let's get BJ right under just the MLB heading for his action. I won't find those games right now. All right. Feels good. Feels good. Nuclear says great play on that squeeze one. That was just phenomenal. How do you not get pumped up watching that? I mean, that's fun. All right. Dad fan says, really hope we don't get rained out here. Want to play the Orioles big. I was very interested in the Orioles. And there's rain that's going to affect 3 games here. Stimmy OG with BC and the Fever. Yeah, you had a huge night, Stimmy. I saw that, man. Darren Turner, Braves Reds over. Okay, good. I love that. Johnny Gunn says he'll be at the Padres game tonight for a work event. Unlimited brew and food's going to be a great day. Look at all the positivity in the chat. That's what happens when we're winning. We've been winning all week. Top sets on Philly and the under 8.5 Rangers, Detroit money line, and the minus 1.5 and Baltimore. Kong's Clips, we have not been tracking birthday picks. There was a time. Now, look, I'm really happy that our birthday picks cashed so beautifully yesterday, but it really is something that our Pistol Pete Loshak has made special. And I was always hesitant to move on it. And he was at one point tracking them, and they were spectacular. And he cares very much about them. But no, Kongs, we haven't been capping them. Slatsy has Tiger Cats in the under in CFL tonight. Rain starting at 6. Makes me nervous, Slatsy. You saw. Slatsy and I are on the other side of each other in all of our action, a lot of our action this week. And I still like the over. And I'm not entirely sure how bad the weather's going to be. It keeps changing. And I've been refreshing it every 8 hours. It keeps changing. But there's going to be rain, and Bobano is going to be there. So, we have a lot to talk about. Okay, Marco Lou, let me copy and paste his action. And Vibe says, I don't think Baltimore, Philly, and the Yankees game go. It's raining. And that is a concern. But we are always going to do our due diligence, because too many times I've had an angle, I didn't move on it, and the game went. And then I hated myself. Nate Dogg ready to go. Top set leaning Baltimore first 5 team total and full game team total. There's Mr. Heat in the house. Red Girl, great to see you. Troy Torn says, see a lot of people posting about how favorites minus 300 or more are 18-1 straight up. 18-1 straight up. Well, was that first loss yesterday? I wonder what. Wow, that's wild. I didn't know that they'd been that successful thus far. Rocco Rogers on Braves Reds over 10.5. There's Clint Starr, the diehard MMA podcast. He added a Trevor Peak to his UFC slate. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. This is what makes our show so special. Is there's the most important theme here is that we're working together and we want each other to win, and we don't sell each other anything. We just want each other to succeed, and that's what I love so much. All right. So Sharon Pulliam in the house, and Gambler's First Glance video's up. Tigers money line at plus 115. Tigers money line, Gambler's First Glance is in. Oh, that's a fun one. And backing Joey Wentz, I love it. And we know what the Twins do versus lefties since June 1st, 197, 605 OPS. I like that. Luke Murphy Rays team total over 4.5 minus 120 might be his biggest bet of the day. Interesting. I will copy and paste that as well. For the Rays spot, I would love to be able to discuss that right when we get to that game. What the hell's wrong with me? Why can't I? This is a problem. When my notes, I just have pages and pages. Okay, I'm not going to try and find it. I will just. Oh, here it is, right here. Royals Rays. Sorry. Okay, 6:40 p.m. I love the 6:40 starts. There we go. All right. Top set, loving the spot the Rays on. He's already on it. Rocco Rogers says it's one of his favorites today. Says Joey Wentz owns the Twins. Sharon Pulliam saying, shout out to Mike M on another RBI catcher. Why didn't I mention that? Cashes again. The Ribeye RBI play of the day. That you guys elevate everybody. It's like anything. You play with winners and you elevate your game. And man, you guys are just killing it. Rem Most in the house. Joe Yerger says, I expect a downturn in the Braves offense. They've been overproducing previous handful of games. Last night may have confirmation, just a hunch, of course. Yeah, but I feel you there. But God damn, is this not an offensive weather in an offensive ballpark today? Moose Money going to be at the game as well tonight. Okay, we got to roll on and get rolling here. Dav Fenn, Johnny K, Darren Turner want to take Padres minus 1.5. We'll see what the chat says. Thank you, Nuke Worker. Can you believe that they went into Winnipeg and their average points against dropped? That under was just too easy. And I doubled up and tripled up. So the Lions scored that first touchdown. That was just 2 penalties. I mean, they didn't do anything. I got in on the under 53.5. Then I saw this drive stalling by the Bombers, and it went up to 54.5. I'm like, what's going on here? So I bet it again under 54.5. God, it felt so goddamn good. So goddamn good. Nate Dogg is on Montreal plus 1.5. It is time to get to work. Joey Marinaccio shouting out Jose for the big balls Royals casher. I love it. I love it. And see there, Troy Torrance says, if you dig deeper, home favorites of minus 330 or more over the past 2 years are barely over 500. Look, Jose was cashing on that like crazy last year. All right. Slatsy liking this Rays team total over 4.5 that Luke Murphy's making this big bet. There is Mikey M with that ribeye play today. Ramirez last night. God, he's just so hot. And Sharpie says, put some respect on JP Sears' name. I was thinking of you watching him throw a beauty. Joe Yurkovich on the over 8.5 in Twins Tigers. Okay. Let's get to work. Von Polo, Fly White. I love it. Let's go. Let's go. And AOD in the house. Terry Thomas is on Hamilton money line. All right. Let's get to work right now. Let's bring on your star of Fridays here at Pub Sports Radio. And it's exciting to have him on the show. I like it. I enjoy it very, very much. He's also going to have his feet on the ground at Tim Hortons Stadium, Hamilton, Ontario, in the rain tonight. Drunk in the rain. That's how I always imagine our next guest drunk in the rain. Please welcome from Canada's Steel Town, Canada's black and yellow, Mr. Ian Cameron to the show. Bobano, how are you, my friend?
Very good. I'm actually a little shocked we've got even the potential for rain tonight because I think I can count on one hand how many rain games we've had in the 10 plus years I've been going to every single Ticat home game. So This is a rarity that we might get some weather issues, although that's a moving target. They initially yesterday were saying it was going to rain throughout the game. Now it's starting to look like the rain might hold off until the fourth quarter, and we might not even get any rain during the game as of the latest forecast. So
it keeps changing.
Yeah,
it keeps changing. And same with the what was the other one with the Thunder Shower, the Argos game. It keeps changing. Let's get right to work. Let's get into Canadian football. 2-0 last night. I needed it badly. Those were my most confident spots, on the board. Obviously, I doubled up on the under last night. There's our guy, Dabby Cab, in the house. Let's go. Friday, June 23rd, this evening, 7:30 p.m., the Hamilton Tiger Cats home opener at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, Ontario. As we keep talking about, the weather keeps changing, but it's showers, possibly. 7-mile-per-hour wind, 67 Fahrenheit. So let's first bring up the line history here for this one, and then set a quick table for Bobano to break down for us. This market moved pretty wildly, and it screwed me over. It screwed me over, and I look like a bit of a fool with how I bet this. Now, I love early season buys in the CFL. Mid-season, late season, the teams really need it. They get away. They need to leave. Some leave the country. But not a week 2 buy. You stay in and you get your work done. And I love backing them. I don't like fading Hamilton at Tim Hortons Field at all. This opened up, and these were wild swings here. This opened up at Pinnacle at -3. This was on Tuesday. We're all waiting for the lines to come out in CFL. We all sit there waiting. And I guess, sorry, I said Tuesday. I think that might have been Monday night, actually. Yes, came out Monday night. And I knew what my plan was. And I that's the great thing about a 9-team league is that we know these teams, we watch these teams. If you haven't capped CFL, you can start capping it now. You'll get up to speed pretty quick. I knew what I wanted, and I didn't need to see anymore. I just wanted to attack it. So this comes out 6:58 p.m. -3. Then the following night, it moves to -2.5, and then -1.5. At that point, I moved on Montreal. Montreal got to +1. It was a bad time to move on Montreal. I ended up taking the money line at -105, and just a disastrous decision. Buyback on Hamilton, which I get, moves to +120. So that was a disastrous decision. The under's gone 6-1 in the last 7 meetings between these teams. There's a lot of injury issues that we'll talk about that would lead you to the under. I think Schultz can move this offense. He airs it out. I moved on the over 43.5 against again. So with that Blue Bombers game yesterday, I saw every single person on the over here. Now I haven't seen as many people on this game as we had in the Bombers Lions game, but I see everybody on the under, and I don't agree. I think points can be scored, and I don't think we should get too caught up in what happened with Fajardo. And now they have the bye week. So I moved on the over 43.5. It's very heavily juiced at Pinnacle over 43.5, but it's moved to 44 at many books. So here we go. Very quickly, we know Bo Levi Mitchell not going to be doubtful. So Schultz is getting the start. We know he's getting the start. He went 13 of 14 for 118 yards when he came in for Mitchell last week. Now, I think that, obviously it was a disastrous situation, and the foot was off the gas. And so, it was kind of cheapo points, but he looked good and he gained confidence. And that's all you want. You just want someone to gain confidence. But I need Bobano to talk about what's going on with this offensive line. We know that Joel Figueroa, who was a huge offseason pickup, is out. Opposite tackle Tyrone Riley, Coulter Woodmansey. You have already Alex Fontana and Kyle Saxlid on the IL. And God, is Chris Van Sale going to be playing? I mean, he's just now so necessary. We saw what Schultz did right away. And I love this. And we talk about it in all football. Your backup quarterback comes in, or not your starter. He looks at the best receiver and says, look, I'm going to go to you nonstop. Make sure that Tim White's happy. And that's what he did. Schultz showed that he was going to throw nonstop to Tim White. Make your best receiver happy. He did that. Montreal comes in off the bye week. We talked about it. Fajardo, he didn't look great. The offensive line was a disaster, but the defense was strong. So here we have Reggie White, Greg Ellingson, and Tyson Philpott hurt, but Fajardo, threw for 260 yards with the bad offensive line. I like Fajardo. I think he's good. We have a standback who we know is dynamite, best running back in the CFL in 2019, 2021 before injuries. I heard him last year. He did not have a very good opening game against the Red Blacks. They focused on him. We know that the Ticats defense struggles against the run. So with all of this said, I think this total is just too low. And I'm very nervous about my action on Montreal at minus 105 now. I was confident before, and I've lost the confidence. Take it away, Bobano. Your home opener. Alouettes at Ticats.
Yeah, the O-line's the story. I mean, it's decimated. It's 3 starters. Chris Van Zyl is off the injured list, but he may not even play yet, they're saying. So, I mean, if he doesn't go, that's 4 new starters that are going to be on that offensive line. And you look at, obviously the way they've played so far, that O-line hasn't been great in the first 2 weeks. They've been giving up sacks. They've been giving up pressure on to their quarterback. Now they have faced Winnipeg and Toronto. This is definitely, I think, a step down in class here for Hamilton. And I think that's kind of what the betting markets are seeing betting the Ticats. This is not Toronto. This is not Winnipeg that they're facing here. This is a Montreal team that has 1 game under their belt, and it's against a very, very porous Ottawa Red Blacks team. And it was a by the skin of their fucking teeth victory in that game against Ottawa. And I watched that. There was nothing impressive about Montreal, really. I think their defense played okay, but still, I mean, Ottawa's offense looked just as bad against Calgary last week. How much credit can you give Montreal's defense for playing well? And then in that first game as well, the offense was awful. It reminded me I was watching Saskatchewan with Cody Fajardo again, all the sacks he was taking. That O-line took a beating. They were dominated by Ottawa in that football game. So when I look at it here, the Hamilton's defense, I think that D-line I like for Hamilton. I do. They got Jagara Davis back. Ted Laurent's still there. They've even haven't had Dylan Wynn. Wait till Dylan Wynn, one of their best pass rushers, comes back for Hamilton. They're going to have a good defensive front. And, their defensive fronts had to play 2 very good and mobile quarterbacks. Not Fajardo can be mobile, but he needs a good O-line. And I didn't see anything resembling a good O-line for him and for Montreal against Ottawa. So I don't think they're moving the football very easily tonight in this game. And you mentioned the early season bye. I want good coaches with an early season bye. I don't consider Jason Moss a good coach. I'm sorry. I don't. He drove Edmonton into the ditch. They did nothing when he was the coach there except lose and get worse. He was the OC in Saskatchewan. Not very good there, in my opinion. Got worse, not better. that offense. Personnel related a bit, sure. But, I want good coaches, competent coaches to have the bye week, to thrive with the bye week. I'm not convinced that's Jason Moss. On the flip side, look, a lot of people are worried that Bo Mitchell injured already. Got to go to your backup quarterback. That actually might be a better situation for Hamilton's offense tonight because Schultz knows the playbook. It's been here now 2 years. He's got mobility, which is important, which is vital now that your O-line is depleted and decimated and shorthanded going into this game. I mean, if you can find player props for this, I would certainly be interested in Matthew Schultz over rushing yards tonight. We know he can run with it. We know he's very good running with the football. He's going to have to, I think, tonight, because the one thing Montreal can do is probably be able to get some pressure in this game, knowing the Hamilton offensive line's compromised. So he's going to have to run with the football a lot. And, I know it was garbage time. They had won the game already, Toronto, but I don't think it's a pure coincidence. Hamilton finally moved the ball last week with Matt Schultz. That's when they put that drive together late in that game. So, I think it's a winnable game for Hamilton, even with their issues, even with being on a short week, even with Montreal coming off a bye week. I said going into this game 0-2, facing the tough start of Toronto, Winnipeg, I felt they could win in this spot against 3 teams. Ottawa, they could beat in this spot. Edmonton, they could beat in this spot. And I think they can beat Montreal in this spot. I think they will beat Montreal in this spot. Ticats money line. Oski wee wee.
Let's lock you in for the Ticats money line. See what we can find you here. We have the best line, and let me know if you can beat this. But the best line I have here is a minus 139 at Pinnacle.
Yeah, you're right. That's what we'll go with. Yep.
All right.
I got minus 124, by the way, and it was a few days ago. So
Bobano is on minus 139.
And I had to jump on it quickly because I bet it right when that crazy line move was happening on Hamilton, because I thought it was – I thought actually, believe it or not, because I was going to be on Hamilton all along in this game, overreaction to Montreal's 1 win against a bad team and overreaction to Hamilton's 2 losses against 2 of the best teams in the CFL. But when you look at this, I thought for sure it was going to keep coming in on Montreal after the Bo Mitchell news. And because I said, okay, Hamilton's moved to the slight home dog now. And maybe I'll even get a +3 with Hamilton as a home dog. And then I'm like, whoa, all of a sudden here's Hamilton money pouring in. I'm like, I got to get this shit in right now. So I was rushing to bet it. So I didn't even get the best number on Hamilton, but at least a better money line price than what's out there now.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I was very upset watching the move too. I panicked at the wrong time. And
Nuke Worker, with all due respect, if they were playing like BC, I wouldn't be betting Hamilton here. No way. This is, to me, a beatable opponent. This is a flawed opponent. This is not a great football team, Montreal. I don't think my team's very good either right now, but it's a winnable game. Home opener. Feed off the crowd. Schultz knows the offense more than Mitchell, believe it or not, right now. There's reasons to think Hamilton can win this game. This is not a dominant opponent.
It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one. And speaking of that Montreal-Ottawa game, that was a fun one for me. 3-0 on that game, and then 2-0 on the game last night. I know my record is sitting at 9-10, but
I wish you luck with that over. But it's not an official play, but I could only play it under. I could only play
everybody.
It under. It's a series history play. It's an O-line that's battered. It's Montreal's defense, I think, is ahead of their own offense too. So I don't know where the points come from, honestly. Unless Schultz has a crazy game, like he goes.
Schultz is going to air the ball out. He's going to air the ball out wild. The weather has dictated a lot of the moves to the under, and then, of course, the trend towards these unders. There was also a trend towards the Lions being terrible.
I think I did see something, though, where it's 6-1 to the under, but the average total points in those 7 games, 6 of them went under, was 45.5. And that did concern me, because that's why I'm lukewarm on the under, because it's 44. I mean, it's a very low total. It's and it hasn't mattered so far. Unders are 7-2, so far in the CFL this season. It hasn't really mattered what the number has been. That being said, I do think there's potential for some overs on the weekend, which we'll get to, but we'll see.
And I have one other over. The only game I haven't bet, and I literally had my finger on the button for Saskatchewan +4, and I couldn't press it. I just couldn't press it. Let's talk about this game. Saturday, June 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern. Saskatchewan Roughriders at the Calgary Stampeders, McMahon Stadium in Calgary, Alberta, 77 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 9 miles per hour. Slats says he's doing rain dance as we speak. It's working, Slats. It's starting to rain. It's starting to rain. I wonder what that rain dance looks like. Okay, Roughriders, Stampeders. Let's move on to the line history of this one on Saturday. Here we go. I got the money line up, so let's move over to the point spread. Well, but I know what happened. It opened up at 4. It moved to 3.5. I could have had it at 4. I felt a little bit of did I miss out when it moved to 3.5? I felt it. This 3.5 is also juiced still to Saskatchewan. So yeah, I feel like, but I mean, we know the key number is 3, so does it really matter? I could still move on it now. From a total perspective, I'm a little lost. There's some teams I'm seeing so clearly. I'm a little lost with what the Roughriders are going to give us and Harris. I just can't quite figure it out. They put up 400 plus yards against the Bombers. Like their defense was horrific in the second half. I just don't. I don't feel like I've got a beat on them. This total opened up at 45.5. It hasn't moved. So the total hasn't moved. We have a half-point move to the Green Riders. The Stamps return home after that 26-15 win in Ottawa. Dedrick Mills was excellent. 19 carries, 99 yards, and a touchdown, 6.2 yards per carry. The Stamps are going to be without Reggie Begelton this week, and that's a big loss. We talk about when star receivers are out, what's the depth of the wide receiving core? And Ian will probably give us I know he'll have a better idea of that than me. We saw what happened with Dominic Rhymes out for the Lions. We know the Lions have this deep, spectacular wide receiving core. I'd like to hear Bobano's idea with the depth of the Stamps receiving core, because Begelton caught 8 passes for 107 yards last week, and now he's out. Jake Mayer was a little better. I mean, he's thrown interceptions his first 2 games this year. He went 22 of 33 for 332 yards. I didn't realize how slow he was until I've been watching this year. For whatever reason, I thought that he was able to get around, get outside the pocket, but he's not being. Titus Wall is a questionable, the hamstring injury, a defensive back, and so is Shaquille St. Lot. So those are 2 defensive backs that they'll need. The Riders come off that 45-27 loss, to the Bombers. They look bad. Trevor Harris did throw for 413 yards and 3 touchdowns. Tevin Jones and Sean Bain Jr. each had 100 receiving yards. But their defense could just get no stops, absolutely no stops. We know that their running back, Frankie Hickson, their defensive lineman, DeMarcus Christmas, defensive back, Jaden Dahlk, and defensive back, Rodney Clemens, are out. And this one, I haven't moved on. And maybe you could illuminate some possible betting angles for us, Bobano. Take it away. Stampeders at home to the Green Riders.
Yeah, I mean, I think Calgary's the better team, and I don't know if I can lay 3.5 though. 3 and the hook, maybe 3. I'm interested. Maybe less than a field goal. I'm definitely interested in Calgary, but 3.5. It's a team that's 7-20 against the spread in their last 27 home games. I remember a time you would just never bet against Calgary at McMahon Stadium, going all the way back to the John Huffnagel era. And they had year after year, they were winning double-digit games, and you just didn't want to fade them at McMahon Stadium. Now, if you've done nothing but fade them, bet against them in Calgary the last couple of years, you've done quite well. And we already saw in week 1, home favorites right around this price range, 3.5 against BC, lost outright against the Lions. They did get back on track against Ottawa, but, how much credit do you give a team for beating Ottawa with Nick Arbuckle at quarterback, who's looked absolutely dreadful? Dreadful. There's not even a strong enough word to describe how he's played at quarterback for Ottawa these first 2 games. But Calgary played well. I do think Calgary is getting better. Defense, was better against Ottawa, but I also saw them get shredded by BC, in week 1. How good is that defense? Saskatchewan will miss Hickson. I think Jamal Morrow, though, is still healthy. And, of course, he's the number 1 running back, but they just don't have that tandem backfield. Here's the key stat here. What do we think we know about both of these offenses? We think Jake Mayer can be good. We think Trevor Harris for Saskatchewan can be good. But what do they need to be good? They need balanced offenses. Okay, they cannot rely solely on throwing the football. They have to be able to run the football a little bit. Saskatchewan's given up 4.7 yards per carry this season, their run defense, almost 100 rushing yards per game. And the Calgary Stampeders, so far this season, they're giving up 88.5 rushing yards per game, 5.2 yards per carry. So these are two, below average and, underwhelming run defenses so far. Again, just 2 games for both of these teams, but neither team has been great against the run on defense. So it has me thinking that, Morrow should be able to run the ball a bit, maybe for Saskatchewan against Calgary. I'm not worried about Kadeem Carey maybe missing another game. I'm not. And I know Teddy Covers, our old friend, would always say in the NFL, running back injuries are overrated. They're overvalued because it's all about the O-line. It's all about the scheme. And usually next man up, and that guy can run the football just as well. No better example of that than Calgary. Without Kadeem Carey, they don't miss a beat. Well, Carey's great. Carey is great, don't get me wrong, but Dedrick Mills, the backup running back, is excellent. He's really good. And you saw it last week against Ottawa. He was fine, running the football. So with Saskatchewan struggling to stop the run a little bit, I think Mills can have a decent day, and that's going to open up, lanes down the field to throw the football for both of these quarterbacks. So this is definitely an over that I'm interested in, at 45.5 here in this game. I know Saskatchewan's offense got completely shut down in the second half by Winnipeg, but let's not forget they were going up and down the field, marching up and down the field for the first half last week against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in that game. And as for Calgary's offense, obviously not a good opener against BC. I think now we can start to chalk that up, Jimmy, to maybe this BC defense is freaking amazing, because that's what it looks like to me. You got Matthew Betts, you've got Ben Hladek, you've got all these guys that got pressure on the quarterback. They stop the run well. They've got a lockdown secondary. Did you see anybody get open for Winnipeg last night? I didn't. TJ Lee and Gary Peters and all these veteran corners that they've had on that team for years. That's just a damn good BC Lions defense. So now all of a sudden my perspective on Calgary's offensive struggles shifts a little bit. They finally got going in the second half against Ottawa last week. They played well. They struggled, but against, what's looked like a dominant BC defense so far that's given up 21 points in the first 3 games combined, including a shutout. So I think both offenses can move the ball a little bit here. Both meetings last year with Calgary and Saskatchewan, I'm pretty damn sure they both went over the total. October 22nd, it was 32-21 Calgary. Note, Mayer played in that game for Calgary, and he lit up Saskatchewan, 32 points. It was one of his better games I thought he played down the stretch. So, I think he can move the ball here at home against the Saskatchewan defense. Look, last year it wasn't as good, and I'm not convinced it's great this year. Okay, they were okay against Edmonton. Edmonton hasn't done a thing offensively, and they struggled last week against Winnipeg. So I think Calgary can move the ball. Saskatchewan, I think, can do enough to move the ball, even with their offensive line compromised. Trevor Harris has said, our O-line's a work in progress, but I'm getting the ball out quickly. That's paramount with the O-line issues. Get the ball out quickly. He's been doing that. That's why he's been able to still make plays to Emilus, Jake Wenicky, and some of these other receivers. Plus, Darrell Walker might return for this game for Saskatchewan, which would give them another option. So I lean Calgary, but I don't love the 3 in the hook. I will go ahead, though, with the over here and make that official with Saskatchewan and Calgary at over 45.5, minus 104 at ProLine Plus.
You got it, minus 104 at ProLine Plus. My mom in the chat says, let's hear it for the BC defense. Ryan Phillips, he makes me want to go out there and tackle somebody.
He's done a great job.
But doesn't he inspire? Like, he's just like, that you see him on the sidelines. Like, and also, Vernon Adams Jr., I've been very negative about, his passing ability and things like that. But what a team player he is. If you watch him out there cheering everybody on, the Lions have a good thing going, and it's exciting. I don't know what to do on this. I have some interest in your over, and I know you're concerned with Calgary minus 3.5, and I sort of have the same thing with Saskatchewan plus 3.5. And so I've got nothing on this game at this point. Bobano on the over 45.5 at minus 104. Let's talk about the over I did bet. Another spot where thunder showers may or may not wreak havoc on this game. 7 p.m. Eastern, Toronto Argonauts 1-0 At the Edmonton Elks, 0-2. We're at Commonwealth Stadium, Edmonton, Alberta, 70 Fahrenheit, thunder showers, 5 miles per hour. There's not been much movement on this game. We'll go over to Pinnacle and see what they've done with it here. First off, the total opened up at 44 and a half, and there's been a 2-cent move to the under. Bet Chris bookmaker sharp books have moved it to 44. Let me just make sure they were at 44 and a half before. No, they weren't. They've not moved it off the 44. That's interesting. Okay. Then from a spread scenario, we have still the 6.5 that Pinnacle opened this up with. 8 cents of juices moved to Toronto, and we see some 7s on the board. I tell you what, I'm extremely interested in Toronto against the Lions next week. I think there'll be an overreaction with how spectacular the Lions played. I think the Lions are going to be feeling very good about themselves. They head over to Toronto now, I believe. I believe they head over there today. I don't think they're going back to BC. I don't have that confirmed. But I'm going to be interested in Toronto. And I absolutely love what I've seen from Chad Kelly. I mean, we saw him shine in the Super Bowl, and then we saw him spectacular in week 2. So they were dogs here, and they dominated 32-14. Chad Kelly, when you look at his numbers at the end of the day, not nearly as good as what I saw, but they just kind of took their foot off the gas in the second half. 14-23, 238 yards. He had a connect with DeMonte Cox. That was just clearly evident. 131 receiving yards. Kelly also 3 touchdowns on the ground. He's big. He's tough. I like him. And the defense just shut down Bo Levi Mitchell. But, I think part of the blame, or a lot of the blame, would just be on Bo. So is it already time to panic in Edmonton? 17,000 fans were at McMahon Stadium for the Calgary Stampeders home opener. At Commonwealth for the Elks home opener, they had 32,000 fans. That's the most they've had for a home opener since 2013. And what did they see? They see them lose again and put up 13 points. What happens the following week? They get shut out by the BC Lions. I do think that points are capable of being scored here. I think that there will be an overreaction towards the under. Look, Taylor Cornelius has been horrific. 91 passing yards last week. The team ran for 54. They got 7 first downs against the BC Lions. And then in week 1, he had 202 passing yards, touchdown, 2 picks, but 102 of those yards came on 1 play to Eugene Lewis. So that doesn't really, count in my estimation. And they've lost 18 straight home games. I mean, we're talking, when this game kicks off, it'll have been 1,352 days since they won at home, October 12th of 2019. Emmanuel Arsenault and defensive back Ed Gainey, weren't at practice. Gainey has now been moved to the 6-game injured list. Defensive back Jeremy Dominique, sick. They need him in there. Defensive back Purfoy was limited. They need him in there. But I think the Argos are probably the pick here, the bet here. What we did so well, and we had a huge NFL season last year. Bobano had a huge NFL season. We all had a huge NFL season. And my whole thing with the NFL season was selling high and buying low. And here, I just think it's buying high on the Argos. I just don't really want to do that on the road. I can understand anybody who is doing it. I think points can be scored. And then I think that we can sell high on the Lions next week, as long as the Argos don't beat the Elks by 40 points here. And then that will all be moot. There'll be nothing to really do. So take it away. I'm on the over 44.5. Take it away, Bobano. Our last game in CFL before we break down the MLB card, Argonauts, Elks.
Yeah, I mean, jeez, I'm on that damn over as well, and I'm a little bit more reluctant on this one than the last game we talked about, just because what we've seen out of Edmonton when you get shut out and you've scored less than 20 points in the first 2 games, and you're betting one of their games over the total. It's like, what the hell are you doing? But all I'm going to go by is what Edmonton's saying. Eugene Lewis and all week long saying, I need the football more. We have to air it out more. You got to look for me more. You brought me in here to be a difference maker. And how was it that I was a non-impact and non-factor last week against BC? That's obviously someone that we think, and we know he's one of the best receivers in the CFL, and yet he just did not. And I think some of that's BC's defense, which again, you get to give them all the credit in the world for shutting down. talk about how Eugene Lewis was invisible last week. Maybe that's the BC defense making him invisible, just like they made Dalton Schoen invisible last night, just like they made Nick Dembski invisible last night. I think we just were realizing right now BC's defense could be among the best, if not the best in the CFL. So all of a sudden, I look at that shutout performance for Edmonton against BC in a new light. Their offense still sucks. I'm not saying it doesn't, but now we're like, how do you get shut out in a CFL game? Now, after last night, I'm like, oh, BC's got a fucking amazing defense. That's how. So all of a sudden, I'm looking at it like maybe this offense isn't totally without hope. Cornelius hasn't been good, but at the same time, there were a couple drives they were moving the football last week, and they fumbled. That's not on the quarterback. You got to hang on to the football. Can't turn it over when you're driving. That happened a couple of times to Edmonton last week. So I do think there's going to be an onus to get Lewis involved early and often, an aggressive game plan offensively. On the flip side, I don't trust Edmonton's defense. Saskatchewan, they weren't great, even though they barely lost that game. I thought Saskatchewan was still moving the ball pretty well against them, and obviously they struggled with BC. They're very fortunate BC kind of bogged down at times in Edmonton territory, or else they could have had 30 or 40 points in that game. So I think Chad Kelly and that Argos offense, from what I saw, they moved the football. If you can find player props for this game, you've got to maybe consider DeMonte Coxey for the Toronto Argonauts, because there's instant chemistry there with him and Chad Kelly. He targeted him early and often, 131 receiving yards. His receiving yard prop is probably going to still be in the 60s or 70s. So I'd probably go right back to that. When you see a brand new starting quarterback and you wonder, who is he going to have chemistry with? Who is he going to have that great rapport with right away? Clearly that was Coxey. So you ride with it until proven otherwise. So I think that's a good player prop in this game, is Coxey over receiving yards for the Toronto Argonauts. I can't touch Edmonton. I won't touch Edmonton. The 18-game home losing streak, they're getting 6.5. They don't have to win this game to cover the number, but 18-game home losing streak, I'm done backing them in this stadium until I see them win a football game, because I actually thought the Saskatchewan spot in week 1 was theirs for the taking, and they still screwed it up. They're like, we don't want this game here, Saskatchewan. You take it. And that frustrated me to no end. So no Edmonton anymore at home for me until I see them win a game. I do like the over a little bit, because I do think Toronto puts up their points. I think they'll get 28, 30, 31 minimum. All I need from Edmonton, get me to 17, get me to 20, get the ball to Lewis. And if they do that, and if they listen to their star receiver and get Dylan Mitchell involved, that guy's a great receiver too, or at least from what I saw down the stretch last year. And he hasn't been much of a factor so far. There's playmakers, there's weapons for Edmonton. They just got to make plays. Cornelius has to maintain poise. The O-line's got to do a better job. We'll see if they can do that. Maybe there's that element, especially on the defensive side of the football for Toronto, that after beating their rivals, Grey Cup banner night at home, maybe on defense they're a little, I don't want to say sleeping, but a little lackluster compared to what all the effort they put in against Hamilton last week. Because this, to me, they're going to come into this game thinking it's going to be a layup for their defense. And maybe this is going to be a week where Edmonton's got some tricks up their sleeve and, again, get Lewis involved. That is still an area with Toronto's defense I'm interested in, the secondary, that because I know up front they're very strong. Secondary, can you pick on them a little bit? I mean, Edmonton's got the weapons to. Let's see if they can actually go ahead and execute that plan. So with some reluctance, I am on over 44.5 minus 105 at FanDuel.
Can get you that over 44 at Bookmaker and BetChris. I like this.
Excellent.
I like this. Both of these overs that I'm on, this one and the other one, we're going up against spots that are all saying, Edmonton can't score, Hamilton and Montreal go under. I want to go up against those spots when I have the X's and O's to back it up, and I feel if we do here. So I'm really, really exciting. Shout out to Beach Boss, him and his dad watching us on the big screen. Love you, Beach Boss. Been so much fun capping with you over the years.
Keep in mind, that Toronto-Hamilton game last week was 32-14, 46 points. 46 cashes the over for this game. Keep that in mind. That's like, we're not asking for a shootout here. We're not asking for 28-24. We're not asking for 34-31. We're asking for 24-21 gets the job done.
I like it. We are locked in CFL, coming off a 2-0 night last night. I'm on Montreal minus 105. It scares me very much, but I'm not going to buy out of it. I'm on the over 43.5. I like it. Bobano's on the Ticats at minus 139. Then Saskatchewan, Calgary, I'm off right now. Bobano's on the over 45.5. I get it. And then I'm on the over 44.5 in Argos Elks, and Bobano's on the over 44 at minus 110. Let's get into MLB here. Bobano, it is time for you to start a new winning streak. The winning streak came to an end, but it was a gorgeous winning streak while you were running. It was your sides and totals are still winning. It was the pitching props that hurt you 2 weeks ago.
And we've got more today, so we're not shying away from it.
I like it and respect it. All right, let's get to work here. Coming off a 4-0 day in MLB, which I needed desperately. Let's go. We have a ton of action already on this game. We have our cappers who are going to be at this game in Justin McElvey. We have the Reds on a giant winning streak. We have Great American Ballpark set up for offense today. There's Tom Miggins in the house. Let's get to work here. We will start with the weather. We'll start with the weather here in this spot, and it is very offensive. I will refresh. Gotta keep refreshing these sites to make sure that you have the most up-to-date information. So I will do that. And Coors, at first, Great American Ballpark was expected to be even more offensive weather than Coors. 75 Fahrenheit, 5.9 miles per hour to right center. Stays between 5.9 and 4.6 throughout the day. So it's not the wind, it's the humidity. We have Great American Ballpark at plus 32% for home runs today, plus 15% for runs, plus 5% for doubles and triples. All week, Ballpark Pal has had 80% of the games with minus runs expectations. All week. That is not the case today. Today, there's a lot of offensive spots. There's 4 different spots that are over 10% plus runs expected here. And Great American Ballpark is second on that list at plus 15%. Rocco Rogers on Reds, Braves over 10.5. Moose money on Braves first 5 and full game. BJ also on the Braves. And Dream Weaver with a 7.27 ERA at home from our Moose money bets. And it is abysmal. He has not been good at home. 276 opponents batting average. He's allowed 8 home runs in 26 innings. Mike M says, second time in 20 years, 2 teams on 8-game winning streaks go head-to-head, and it's an 0-1 spot for the Reds, but Atlanta in a 16-0 spot is a road favorite in the first game of the series. All right, I moved on the first 5 over 6 at minus 115. Let's take a look at the line history now for this one, and take a look at the cash flow. Make sure I have that up here as well, and then decide how if there's anything else we want to do other than what I did already. And I believe this is my only over of the day. You guys know that I do focus a little more on unders than overs, and this is my lone over. Let's go over to Pinnacle. There were 10.5s all over the place in this game. Those are gone. This opened up at 10.5 at Pinnacle, just slightly juiced to the over, and it moved to 11 there at 7:41 a.m. That 11 was over 11 at plus 104. Now it's minus 110 to the over. So even once it's gone to 11, there's been a 14-cent move to the over. I moved on the over, first 5 over 6. Let's see what that has done here. There's 6s available everywhere. The juice is getting up there a little bit. Oh, it did dip into the 6.5 territory at Pinnacle, but they've dropped it back to 6. I like that. It was 6.5 for a little bit. Now that was plus money to the over. Now let's take a look at the full game money line here. I know that there's interest from the chat in the Reds team total over. I want to look into that while Bobano is breaking this down. There has not really been a move towards the Braves. There's actually been 0 movement at all right now. It's exactly where it opened last night, 7:28 p.m., minus 146. This got up to minus 166 at 9:20 a.m. So there had been 18 cents of movement since 9:20 a.m. We've gone back 20 full cents. Wow. So as Joe Yurkovich and I would talk about often, is this U-shaped movement. Nate Dogg liking Cincinnati money line. Millsy looking at Emmett Sheen over 4.5 Ks. I will definitely copy and paste that. Vitalis took the over 10.5 minus 120. Says the hitting on both teams has been really good. I get all of that. I get exactly why you guys are moving on it. On this total, 38% of tickets and 48% of the cash are on the under. It makes me a little nervous. But I do have the 6, which I was paramount, so that the push could be in play. And then 68% of tickets, 77% cash on the Braves, and the market not really moving towards them. Moose Money says Shawver has faced these guys in the minors. I mean, we're talking about a 20-year-old kid who didn't spend much time in the minors, AJ Smith Shawver. His last start at home versus the Rockies, 5 2/3, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 homers, 6 Ks, 1 walk. And this is his first road start. He's only thrown 13 1/3 innings in the big leagues, and he's looked really good doing it. Going up against Luke Weaver, he got lit up at Houston in his last start. 5 innings, 10 hits, 5 earned runs. We talked about his home numbers being abysmal. The Braves are smashing righties. 308 average, 913 OPS since June 1st. The Reds are hitting righties hard too. 261, 781 OPS. Both bullpens have been very good. And that was why, in the end, I just wanted the first 5. I want to attack the 20-year-old kid in a bandbox on the road. And I don't trust Luke Weaver. Torrey Torrent says this rookie pitcher is going to get cooked. Just a matter of time. Will it be today? Let's ask Bobano. Will it be today? The floor is yours, Braves, Reds.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually got a 10.5 on this. That was one of the first bets I made on this entire card because it stuck out like a sore thumb. Reds are mashing. Braves are mashing at the plate. I don't like Luke Weaver at all. And Smith Shawver again, and probably one of the toughest environments he's pitched in a very long time. A guy that gave up 2 homers in his last start. That's not what you want to see when you're about to go into warm weather in Cincinnati and pitching in this ballpark. So there's really not much more to add. Everybody did a great job talking about it. The chat you did. So other than to say, even with the move up to 11 now, still like it. So over 11 minus 108.
What did you think about this Reds team total over?
Well, they've been absolutely terrific offensively. However, they also have faced, if you look at their schedule here of late, Colorado, Kansas City, we know those are teams that don't have good pitching. They did very impressively put up 21 runs in 3 games against Houston. I will give them that. That was very impressive over the weekend. And, for me, this is just a clear pass from a side perspective. I've been riding Cincinnati hard. Like I've been on them almost every game going back to that Kansas City series. I even took them as big dogs in that Houston series and kept riding them throughout the Colorado series. But Atlanta's equally good and rolling right now. So it's, like 2 ships colliding in the night here. Both of them are just on an incredible roll. And most of it's been what they've been able to do at the plate. So as far as the Reds team total, I like it. For maybe a first 5 team total, though, just to be a little bit safer. But the Reds team total could get there. But I expect Atlanta to hit, too. I expect Atlanta to put up runs here in this game as well. And keep in mind, too, if you look at the Reds and what they've had to deal with here the last few days, they haven't seen a lot of their starters pitch more than 5 or 6 innings. Okay, that could add up here a little bit in this game. A little bit of a bullpen that's had to log a lot of innings the last couple weeks, even during this win streak. Yeah, they've been good, but they're facing a very, very red-hot Atlanta lineup here. So I like the over full game. I think the bullpens actually could get hit a little bit too, even though they've been in good form.
You got it. Over 11 minus 108 for Bobano. A lot of cappers invested in this one. Moose Money on Braves first 5 in full game. Rocco Rogers on the over 10.5 minus 120. Tone Miggins on Ellie Dela Cruz over 1.5 bases, a plus 105. That's the fast cash play of the day. BJ's on the Braves full game. Joe Yurkovich on the Reds team total over 4.5 minus 114. They're offering me that team total at bet 365 minus 140. And the stacks play of the day from Justin McElvey, who will be at this game, is Ozzy Albies over 1.5 bases. Bobano moved on the over 11. Yes, it's Vitalis. It's at 11 across the board. So great job, those of you who got the 10.5. And Bobano got the 10.5 as well. Unfortunately, we give out picks here that are available right now, and that obviously hurts numbers year long, and I respect you very much for handling that with such class. Terry Thomas also on Atlanta money line. Let's move on. Next up for us, 6:40 p.m. Eastern, Kansas City Royals. Shout out to our young Jose Bouquet, who backed the Royals at plus 290. We heard from TJ, we heard pro cappers who were tying all their action to the Rays. I saw videos put out with the Rays -1. I don't know how people really can put out videos on spots that are that juiced because it's just a lose-lose situation. I mean, if you win the bet, well, of course you did. You just took a minus 239, minus one. And if you lose, you look like an ass clown. I don't know why anybody would put themselves in that situation, but we saw it done yesterday. Jose on the other side taking the Royals. Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida. We have Zach Greinke going up against Zach Eflin, who's been dynamite at home. 43 2/3, 7-0, 1.85 ERA, 43 Ks, 4 walks, just 3 homers allowed, and a 196 opponent's batting average. That's phenomenal opponent's batting average until you talk about Chris Bassett, who, allowing a 131 opponent's batting average here at Rogers in Toronto. All right, Luke Murphy, his big bet here is on the Rays team total over 4.5. Says biggest bet of the day. And Vitalis says, what could go wrong with the Rays at minus 300? Wash Redskin says Greinke equals ass on the road. And he does. 6.15 ERA, 259 opponent's batting average. He does. I get it. I get it. I don't. It makes me very nervous to get involved in these spots, and I can understand that Zach Eflin should be trusted. The Royals are hitting just 237, 668 versus righty since June 1st, while the Rays are hitting 261, 765. The Royals bullpen 5.09 ERA, a 1.48 WHIP since June 1st, and I kind of believe in them. So I've been upset that they haven't. They look much better in May, but fell off in June. Rays bullpen spectacular this month, 2.88 ERA, 1.08 WHIP. Mike M says Eflin is 7-0, 6-1 run line spot tonight. Moose Money says Eflin at home this year versus Greinke on the road. Okay, let's take a look at the line history here and hand it over to Bobano. I have not moved on this one. So here we go. Yesterday we saw that big move towards the Royals. Not today. We've seen a 4-cent move to them at Pinnacle. Let's get to the total here in this one. We have the total opening up at 8.5 at some books. It opened up at 8 at Pinnacle last night, 7:30 at a pick'em, and that's where it is right now. So we got a 4-cent move to the under, 4-cent move to the Royals, 4-cent move to the under. Very, very little excitement here, market wise. We have 10% of the tickets and 33% of the cash on the Kansas City Royals. We have 26% of tickets and 63% of the cash on the under. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Do you see an angle that you can attack at Tropicana?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers for Zach Eflin, have been absolutely phenomenal here at Tropicana Field. There's no doubt. Most of his bad starts were he did have one start, I believe, in that was actually, let me see. Let me look at this year. Yeah, no, this year he's been absolutely outstanding at home. Yeah, his rougher starts have been on the road, where he gave up 4 runs to the Yankees, 4 runs to Baltimore. Even Oakland got 4 runs against him. But here in Tropicana, it's been unbelievable. He did pitch well on the road last start against San Diego, 2 runs in 6 innings. He's pitched quite well. Definitely, I think he's going to be able to do some pitch well here against the Royals. Zach Greinke is, started out the season actually pitching well. I'm like, where does this come from? He had a good April. Most of May he pitched well. Actually, in May he pitched really well. But here in June, he's kind of come back down to earth, which is kind of what I expected at some point. Home runs have been an issue. 4 in the last 3 starts, 12 runs in his last 14.1 innings. That's not good for Zach Greinke here. I definitely think it's a bounce back spot for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is one of those teams when they're off a loss, I'm interested, but I'm definitely going about this a different way. Zach Eflin, 7 home starts this year, 7-0 in those home starts. I'm going to take Zach Eflin to record a win at minus 105. So this is one of those pitcher win props. DraftKings has it. PointsBet has it. A couple other books. Zach Eflin to record a win, minus 105 at DraftKings. And I'm also going to take my first K prop of this card because I do think he's going to get swings and misses. He's been cashing a couple strikeout props for me lately. Zach Eflin over 5.5 strikeouts, minus 134 at Betway.
Minus 134. Interesting thing that I noticed, tracking your action. You had 22 bets 2 weeks ago. Was that your K props at plus money were successful? Those were where you were, you were really good with those last week. It was these ones with a lot of juice that, can be nerve wracking. You can't go 500 when you're hammering minus 134s. Right. But I love the Eflin to win. everybody watching, you take a huge favorite that you like coming off.
Why lay 270 when you can lay minus 105? And let's be honest, we've got a guy that's 7-0 at home. So Tampa Bay is 7-0 in his home starts, in his 7 home starts, and he's gotten the win. He has had the recorded win in all 7 of those home starts. So it's a great bet to me.
There's our friend Turnsey. Bobano is on the Ticats. Turnsey, and I'm very nervous about my Alouettes action. I bet it at the worst conceivable time and look like an ass clown.
It's one of 3 teams I thought they could beat, so we'll see if they can tonight.
It's going to be fun. Bobano will have his feet on the ground. I hope you could take some pictures and some videos. TJ's wondering where you find that bet on DraftKings.
DraftKings, you click on the game, and then you go to pitcher props, and then you see strikeouts, outs recorded, and then to record a win is listed there, and you'll see it for Eflin, minus 105.
And Rocco Rogers looking at that at minus 110, so it's there. Great stuff, Bobano. Way to find an angle here.
That's what you have to do with these big favorites. I don't even love run line. I'd rather do this, especially when I know it's a good pitcher on the mound, even than taking them on the run line.
All right, let's roll on. So I'm off of that spot here. TJ running with you on that Eflin prop. Top set liking the Nerfy in the Tampa game. Let's move on to 6:40 p.m. We head to Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan, and we arrive at Razor Sharp Picks, Gambler's First Glance. Shout out to our friend Razor. He's on the Detroit Tigers money line at plus 115. A lot of movement on these totals as we speak, by the way. Just so you guys know, like happening as we speak. Now 9.5s across the board for Mets Philly. We know it's very offensive weather. Now it's 7.5s across the board in Miami for Ortiz Luzardo. Here we go, though. Next up for us is this Maeda Wentz spot. And Pinnacle has opened this up at 8.5. It was juiced to the over, and it got to 9 at 10-4 this morning. Stayed at 9, which is where it is until it dipped very shortly for 15 minutes this morning, 9:44 to 8.5. It's back at 9, but it's heavily juiced to the under at 9, minus 118. So I would just call this really a slight move to the over because it's so juiced to the under. So at 9, opening at 8.5, slight move to the over. Let's take a look at the money line for this one. Maeda versus Wentz. Maeda, of course, coming off the IL for this start. And we have a big move to the Detroit Tigers. They've gone from plus 129 all the way down to plus 113. Wow. 16 cents of movement to Wentz and the Tigers. So a big move to the Tigers and a slight move to the over. Let's go check out what the cash flow is for this one. Move this up. Here we go. We have 60% of the tickets and 83% of the cash on the Minnesota Twins. Ooh-wee. Guess I'm going to have to bet the Tigers here. That's a surprise. 83% of the tickets, 91% of the cash on the over, and not being a big move there. Turnsey says it's shit weather here in Windsor. Supposed to rain most of the day. Let's take a look at the swish here. They think it will stop raining about an hour into the game. 4.1 miles per hour in, and then 4.3 out. It's it's winds moving all over the place, but it's not heavy. Let's see what Ballpark Pal thinks of Comerica here. We have minus 11% home runs, plus 3% doubles and triples, plus 14% singles, but plus 7% overall with runs, and it's moved to the over. What the hell is Kenta Maeda going to give us? Comes back from the 15-day IL. He's been on the injured list since the end of April. So right tricep strain. Started a rehab assignment on May 30th. So he started, 23 days. Actually, he's been back for a few days. So like a 3-week rehab assignment. He had 4 starts. He allowed 3 earned runs. He went 8 1/3 over those 4 starts. And then we have Joey Wentz. I said to everybody that he's, it's easy to say. Look, he looked good last year. He deserved a role in the rotation, and then he got lit up in smoke to start the year, and he's better than that. This is a highly thought of pitcher, young pitcher, Last start at the Twins, he went 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 9 Ks, 1 walk. The Twins aren't hitting lefties, 197, 605. So the question is, can Wentz do it again? Historically, I have a negative ROI when I deal with pitchers who just face their opponent. I can't. And I always used to tell myself, I was like, well, if I just took the opposite of what he did in the first game, I'd have a positive ROI. But here, can we trust that the Twins can't hit lefties and the Tigers can't hit righties? This total's gone up. Both bullpens have been good since June 1st, especially the Tigers bullpen. Twins maybe mediocre. Joe Yerger says, I figure Twins will hit Wentz this time. The Detroit offense better lately, and the combo of Twins, Penn, and Maeda not too scary. There's our guy Parlay Angel in the house. Londo liking the under 9. Darren Turner says, we know Twins not hitting lefties. DC Capper on Detroit plus 110. Joey Marinaccio on the Tigers first 5 money line. Joe Yurkovich on the over 8.5. Take it away for us here. Bobano. We're at Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan. Twinkies, Tigers.
I still don't trust Wentz. He shut down Minnesota last time out. But again, I don't like that second time you see that same lineup in less than a week. A lot of times the lineup has a little bit of an adjustment. They have a better idea of how to handle it and better preparation. So I don't know if Wentz is going to deliver that again, but the numbers are true about Minnesota. They can't hit lefties. So maybe he is going to dominate this Minnesota lineup again. What I am pretty sure of is I want to fade Maeda in some way. Okay, because if you look at his rehab starts, the last one he gave up a couple of runs, but 4 walks. Okay, control and command is an issue. Velocity down. And if you remember, this guy now, this is his second return from a significant injury here. If you look at it, I mean, a triceps injury, of course. His last rehab start wasn't the best. Remember, he missed Tommy John. He had Tommy John surgery earlier in his career. He came back from that, and the velocity was down there as well. So I think Maeda's, I don't want to say shot, but I think his best days are behind him. I think the ceiling for him at this stage of his career and the age he's at is to be a middle of the road pitcher, and I think that's being kind. That if he can get back to that level, Tigers. I know you said something about their struggles against righties. But last 10 games, 286 team batting average, 5.94 runs per game against righties for this Detroit team. I think they could do some damage here. I don't want to worry about Wentz and whether he pitches well or not. He very well could. But again, this is also a guy that's been lit up, and he's facing the same lineup for a second straight time. You got to think that lineup probably going to have some adjustments this time around. So I'm taking Minnesota versus Wentz out of the equation. And my official play here is going to be Detroit team total over 3.5 minus 132 at Pinnacle.
Tigers team total over 3.5. Was that minus 122?
Minus 132.
Minus 132. Thank you.
132.
Yeah, I get it.
It's juicy, but man, 3.5s don't come around every day for a team total.
The team totals are tricky. To get under the key numbers. It's tough. It's either you take a big plus money spot or a juice spot. It seems like you can never get unless you pay for the 4 or whatever. I like what you're doing here. I like what everybody's doing here on the Tigers. And Razor with the Gambler's First Glance, a bunch of great cappers in the chat. Look at this Troy Torrance stat. I put it up in the chat. When 80% of money's on the road team, market moves towards the home team. The home team's 19-7. I think that I would like to pass on trusting Wentz as well, and so I wouldn't double up here, and I would just take the first 5 in full game. One thing that's always telling with Bet365 is, when they're worried about that first 5, they give you a much worse price, and that's not the case. It's the exact same price, first 5 in full game. So I'm just going to take the full game here. I'm just going to take the full game, and I'm going to join you guys. So this is my first edition, and I like it. We are off and racing. Bobano has the Tigers team total over 3.5 minus 132. Razor Sharp picks as the Tigers money line at plus 115. And I'm going to move on the Tigers full game with you guys. Nice little plus money spot. And Moose Money says, for what it's worth, Maeda has still generated a whip percentage of 35.3 on his slider. He's still getting swings and misses, but hit percentages on his other pitches well above career averages. All right. Let's roll on. So yesterday, TJ gave out the Marlins as a gift. I had a chance to get into the Marlins cheap the night before. I didn't. I had some trepidation. Then this huge move to the Marlins, and the bigger bets were on the Pirates.
I
Today,
had Pittsburgh first 5 full game. I got the first 5, and then we know what happened after that. The bullpen shit show.
it was a tough loss. This bullpen is absolutely atrocious right now. Since
Brutal.
June 1st,
Yep.
the Pirates bullpen 7.16 ERA, 1.91 WHIP. TJ even said it was a sweat. The gift was a sweat. When I was watching that game, I was like, oh, thank God I'm not on the Marlins. And then, of course, the Marlins come through. So immediately, I thought of the Marlins last night and capped this game fully, by 8 o'clock at night, thinking that I wanted Luzardo. At that time, at about 8 o'clock at night, the Marlins were minus 170 on the money line and plus 120 on the run line. And it was another situation, the same situation. The big bets were on the Pirates. And I was like, why would the big bets be on the Pirates here? Luis Ortiz is coming off a pretty good start at the Brewers, but is he trustworthy? I don't know. Then, a couple hours went by. I had not moved on Luzardo. I also have a recency bias of backing Luzardo in the spot against Musgrove. I was on the first 5 under against the Padres, and the Padres lit him up. That's a Padres team that's smashing righties. Now, the Pirates aren't bad against righties. The Pirates, 239, 741 OPS against lefties. Sorry. The Pirates aren't bad against lefties. The Padres smash lefties. The Pirates, 239, 741 OPS. So then after a couple hours, I look back, and now it was minus 180 on the money line and plus 115. So, that minus 1 was becoming more and more expensive. So let's discuss the spot. Let's start here with the line history and see what it's at right now. I think that will be telling. Again, the big bets, what I considered to be sharp action, was on Pittsburgh yesterday, and it was the same last night. The Marlins opened up at minus 163. They're now minus 185. So this is what happened last night. The line was at minus 170 at 9:55 p.m. Then there was this huge move to the Pirates. And I thought, oh, good. Oh, thank God I didn't move on the Marlins. There was a 12-cent move to the Pirates at 10:37 p.m. The Marlins went down to minus 158. And then they went to minus 160, 11:30. And then 6 minutes after that, there was a 16-cent move back to the Marlins. So, I just ended up staying off. But at this point, we have 22 cents of movement to the Miami Marlins, which is a lot. I told you that this total has gone from 8 to 7.5. Let me confirm that that's happened here at Pinnacle. That has happened. Let me confirm that they opened it at 8. They did. They opened it at 8, juice to the under, and it lasted there until 8:42 a.m. until it went to 7.5. So then that was telling me, okay, they expect, Luis Ortiz to have a good start. Let's go to the cash flow. The cash flow for this one has 43% of the tickets and 79% of the cash on the Pirates. So to me, I would say, well, that looks like sharp action on the Pirates. Well, it can't be that sharp if the books aren't concerned about it, moving the market towards the Marlins. But bigger bets, let's say. And then 36% of tickets, 71% cash on the under. Well, that looks sharp because that's moved the total from 8 to 7.5. So that's telling me Ortiz will have a nice start. He's not looked good on the road. 18 innings, 5.50 ERA, 13 walks in those 18 innings, 293 opponents batting average. Luzardo's been very good at home, and he's coming off a good start at the Nats. The Nats aren't bad against lefties. And at home, he's throwing 47 in the third with 3.04 ERA, 55 strikeouts, 14 walks, 4 homers, 212 points batting average. Here we go. Bobano, can you find clarity here in Pirates Marlins at Lone Depot Park?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take my split, and it actually got profit out of it because they were both plus money. First 5 in full game with Pittsburgh yesterday. I ain't going back to the well today. I don't like Ortiz enough. He's been, mediocre, I guess is the word, although he was good in his last start. But again, he's not going to give you any sort of length. You look at this guy's 7 starts here, 5.3, 5.2, 5.1, 4.2. You got to see this Pirates bullpen for half the game. No, thank you. Not interested. So if you like Pittsburgh, maybe even take him first 3, if you like Pittsburgh, because again, Ortiz just doesn't give you any sort of length whatsoever. I think it's a bounce back spot for Luzardo. Luzardo's pitched well here at home all season long. Good numbers, 3.04 ERA. Marlins 6-2 in his 8 home starts. His last home start against Kansas City was a gem, 8 strikeouts, 1 run, 2 hits, 7 innings. Before that, we saw him pitch well against the Nationals in this park, pitch well against the Cubs in a victory in this park. Had one rough outing at home, and even in that game, he got 8 strikeouts against San Diego, 5 runs in 5.1 innings. Still only gave up 4 hits, though. Some errors behind him in the field in that start. But again, he's pitched a lot better here at home so far this season, and averaging 10.4 strikeouts per 9 innings at home this year, Luzardo. And that's my bet in this game, K-prop. Jesus Luzardo, and you mentioned the K-props with the plus money have done well. This is a plus money prop. Jesus Luzardo over 6.5 strikeouts, plus 122 at Betano.
Luzardo over 6.5 Ks at plus 122. That is locked in for you. Last week, you had Yuri Perez over 5.5 Ks at plus 144. That cashed for you.
I think I've taken him every time he started his K-prop since then, too. He's been a gem for me.
You had Ben Lively over 4.5 Ks at plus 115. That was also a casher.
Yep.
So Terry Thomas moving on the mark. So look, I'm trying to keep everything a certain way, and I don't think you should be too stringent with I think you should let the X's and O's dictate other moves.
Well, now at this time of year, especially because All-Star break's approaching, look at what I've done here in 2 of these games with my card here. Tampa Bay, I want to bet on them. I want to get with Eflin. I want to somehow find a way to back him. How do I do that? I went with record a win, minus 105. I want to back Luzardo here in some form, but I don't want to lay minus 190. And even the run line's not that appealing. How do I do it? I go the strikeout prop route. So it's all about different derivative means and methods and ways to go about getting behind a team that's obviously you don't want to lay the money line price with.
And I would, if I had moved on the minus 170 plus 120, I'd feel really good right now. Minus 170 plus 120, it's a minus 123 minus 1. But I would be nervous with the idea that the volatility is minimal with the total at 7.5. And right now, if I moved on the minus 1, it'd be minus 143, so 20 cents better. I mean, that's what you want. Moose Money says either something physical is going on with Ortiz or he's just trying to throw too hard. It says fastball velocity down and changeup movement down, but spin rate up on the slider. Could be trying to throw too hard, and the last start he was throwing better. Under a lean for sure, but not betting, but watching Ortiz closely. All right, let's move on. Vitalis said not a huge fan of the juice, but this is a Marlin spot.
And also keep in mind, too, Pirates against lefty pitching lately, striking out a hell of a lot more than they did. And we obviously, that's been something that's been well documented lately, that Pittsburgh has definitely had more issues as of late, against lefty pitching, just fanning, and striking out a lot more than they did earlier in the season. And definitely, I think they're going to probably struggle a little bit here as well tonight. And, case in point, Braxton Garrett last night. What did he put up? 13 strikeouts? Yeah, there 13, you go.
He was a monster. So there are 3 games on today's card that could be rained out, and we are going to break them down. This is the first one, Mets, Phillies. The next one is Mariners, Orioles. And then the final one I have 2 bets on is Milwaukee, Cleveland. So let's get rolling here. I wanted the Philadelphia Phillies. Forget the possible rainout. Just if this game was going to go, I want to back Taijuan Walker right now. TJ says if Pittsburgh has a 1 or 2 run lead after 5 and you don't live bet Miami, what are you even doing? It's crazy how bad they are, how they just can't be trusted. But here we go. I wanted to back Taijuan Walker. I would like to fade Kodai Senga on the road. But again, I want things to correlate for me. And I was staring at this game for hours last night. Hours. Trying to see, can I get on Philly? First off, I've told you that this total has gone from 9 to 9.5. It opened up at 9 at 7:30. By 10:15, this was at 9.5. And now at 9.5, it's a pick'em. So let's go over to the money line here for the Phillies game and discuss it. We have a big move to the New York Mets. Actually, it's not as big of a move. Sorry, some I was looking at an opener from an offshore that had a much bigger line on the Mets, but so there's only been a 1 or 2 cent move to the Mets. So very, very slight move to the Mets and a total that's gone a half run to the over. Let's see if the cash flow correlates with any of that. You have 31% of tickets and 46% of cash on the Mets. 69% of the tickets on the Phillies, and the line's not moving towards them. That's a red flag. 69% of tickets, 86% cash on the over. And I don't quite know why that is. Kodai Senga looks awesome at Citi Field. He does not look good on the road. He's coming off a 5-3 loss at home where he didn't look very good. 6 2/3, 4 runs, 2 homers against the Cardinals. On the road, he's throwing 32 innings. He has a 4.78 ERA, 38 strikeouts, 21 walks. He's allowed 5 home runs. Taijuan Walker is being simply lights out. I mean, there's no other way to mention it. We talked about what happened with him last year. We talked about this often, how Scherzer took him under his wing and how they became close, and Walker was studying what Scherzer does. Taijuan Walker got off to a bad start this year. I was one of the fans that badly wanted the Jays to make a move for Taijuan Walker. 2 seasons back. The Mets signed him in the offseason. I wanted him. And last start was spectacular. Now it was at Oakland, but he went 8 innings, 7 hits, 1 earned run, 8 Ks, no walks. At home, he's 3-0 with a 2.25 ERA, 157 opponents batting average. He's allowed 3 home runs in 32 innings. The Mets versus righties since June 1st, just 231, 713 OPS. I think that Walker can get through them. Now, this is his old team that didn't give him a good enough offer. Phillies against righties, 272, 760. The Mets bullpen's not been good since June 1st, 4.27 ERA, 1.29 whip. And this Phillies bullpen that looked so good in May has not been good in June, 4.55 ERA, 1.33 whip. Ricky Bobby says Phillies have been striking out a lot lately. Senga K-props may be a good look. Robert Franklin leaning to the Mets. Nate Dogg wondering what the over-under K-props are for Senga. Mike M says home favorites are 31-4 to the over. 69.1% ROI on Friday in a divisional matchup coming off a loss versus the opponent. And Topset says he has Walker to have a good start and Senga to regress. Heavy on Philly and the under. Interesting. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Mets, Phillies at Citizens Bank Park.
Dual strikeout props. I'm on both starting pitchers' strikeout props in this game. Mets, 7.5 strikeouts per 9 in the last 10 games. Their strikeout against righties, so through the roof, they've been striking out a lot more. Kodai Senga is someone I've been on. It reminds me of that old commercial, Senga, Jenga, the old kid's toy. It reminds me of that, Kodai Senga. No, he's a strikeout machine. Someone in the chat astutely pointed out Phillies have been striking out a bit more lately. So I definitely think, and look, I'm not a big Taijuan Walker fan, but who am I to argue with the last 3 starts he's had? He's been lights out. Including especially here in Philadelphia. I mean, any struggles he's had this year mostly have been away from Citizens Bank Park. Here in Philadelphia, he's been phenomenal much of the season. So I definitely think this is probably a start where we can expect the pitching to do quite well. I mean, Senga a little bit on the road, his ERA does bounce up a little bit, but, the Phillies, they can be hit or miss at times. And like I say, they've been prone to strikeout pitchers. And that's exactly what Kodai Senga is. So we're going to go with over 6.5 strikeouts plus 155, Jimmy, at Pinnacle with this one. You talk about a big plus money. How about over 6.5 strikeouts, Kodai Senga plus 155 at Pinnacle? What a great price there. And we got plus money on Walker as well. Over 4.5 strikeouts plus 114 at FanDuel.
You got it. I'm going to stay off. No, Londo, you heard right. No, you heard right. No, not that I was on Philly, but that I wanted to be on Philly.
Might be a moot point because there's a good chance of rain, so this game may or may not get in.
But, due diligence on these games, I made a key to that because we've skipped games in the past that have gone and I would have made money, and I don't want that to ever happen again. And it's the dead of summer now where we can talk baseball for hours. So I like it. I just can't take the Phillies if it's a public side like this. And the line slightly moving towards the Mets. I've been in this situation before, and it hasn't worked out well for me. So I will stay off. I've got enough action today. Let's move on to a spot that I find very interesting, that I wanted to move on, and could possibly be rained out. we didn't talk about Ballpark Pal for these spots, and we should. It's sticky in Philly, plus 30% home runs and plus 14% runs if it goes. And here in Oriole Park, it's sticky here, plus 20% home runs, plus 7% singles, and plus 13% runs. There are 4 ballparks, 13% or higher run expectations, according to Ballpark Pal. That's Coors Field in Colorado, which I'm on the first 5 under. Great American Ballpark, which I'm on the first 5 over. Citizens Bank Park, which I've stayed off. And now we talk about Oriole Park. Let's roll here. Let's roll. And TJ says, I have this game going. Don't want to speculate too much, but made it the gift for a reason. Yeah, this one we think has the best chance of going, but here we go. Mariners 36-37, 15-20 on the road. Baltimore Orioles 45-28, 22-13 at home. The gift now is at 20 wins and 8 losses, hitting at 71.4% plus 12.03 units, which is a 39.7% ROI. And the average line is minus 103. TJ's gift, average line minus 103. Ron Crawford's gift, average line minus 102. Bobano's average line on 111 bets he's made here on our show is at plus 110. I like that. Joshua Nolette is on the Orioles team total over. Markel says, Orioles for me. Why go against the most profitable team in Major League Baseball? And let me also say to Ron Crawford and TJ and Justin McElvey and Mike.
You mean our average prices isn't minus 200? You mean we actually have some reputability? Wow.
We do. But those cappers that are giving us these plays of the day, it means so much to me. And it means so much to the show. And it's what makes the show special. And I thank you guys, truly, truly thank you guys from bottom of my heart, because you guys are making the show special. And look at those numbers that you have here. All right, Joe Yurkovich says, line movement towards Seattle. I don't see it. Let's discuss this spot. We've already touched on the Ballpark Pal weather, just for you guys to know that Swish has this 7.6 miles per hour to left field, but then the wind is all over the place, starts moving right to left and then in, but it dies down. The reason why this is so offensive is because it's sticky out here. Terry Thomas on Seattle money line, DC Capper on Seattle money line. This is a fun matchup. 2 pitchers I love capping in Logan Gilbert and Kyle Gibson. Now, Kyle Gibson historically has been tricky for me. I'm not going to lie. He's been a little easier lately now that he could possibly be trusted. Possibly. There has not been much movement on this game. This opened up a little more than I thought. They opened up the Orioles minus 106. They're now even money. So 6 cents of movement towards the Seattle Mariners. Let's go over to the total in this one. 6 cents of movement on the money line. And this total opened up at 8 and moved to 8.5. This opened up at 8 and was there for 37 minutes before it moved to 8.5. Now that it's at 8.5, it's a pick'em. It's a pick'em. So we have a move to the over and a slight move to the Mariners. Let's see if the cash flow correlates with that. We have 42% of the tickets and 82% of the cash on the Seattle Mariners. So big bets are coming in on Logan Gilbert. And then you have 36% of tickets on the under, but 50% of cash. Now it's gone up a half run. TJ says Gibson has pretty good numbers in his last 3 starts, but we have to consider the opponents he's faced: the Cubs, the Royals, and the Brewers. I think that's important. First 5 over 4.5 for TJ with the gift. Londo leaning to the over 8.5. Don places, how can you trust Seattle bats? TJ says Gilbert trending down. Last 3 starts, he has a 5.28 ERA, 3.82 WOBA, 1.45 WHIP, and 5.6 FIP. Says Baltimore's crushing righties in the last 14 days. They rank 3 in batting average, number 2 in OPS, and number 2 in weighted runs created. Nate Dogg, though, on Baltimore money line. And Top Set says Baltimore bats will shine today. Camden Yards, we have Logan Gilbert on the bump. He's not been good on the road. 43 in the 3rd innings. He's 3-1, but 4.57 ERA, 246 opponents batting average. Now he has 46 Ks and 10 walks and 4 homers, so those aren't bad numbers. He's coming off a start at home versus the White Sox. He went 5 1/3, 2 earned runs, 1 homer. He looked pretty good. Kyle Gibson's been good at home. Overall, 4-2, 3.53 ERA, 31 strikeouts, 12 walks. He allowed just 3 homers, and the opponents earning 252 off of him. He's coming off a quality start at Chicago at Wrigley against the Cubs, 6 innings, 3 earned runs. The Mariners are not hitting righties since June 1st, 196, 651 OPS. Now they are coming off a 10-run explosion against the Yankees yesterday. Remember, I stopped talking about what happened yesterday. It does not help my ROI, but it may help some of yours to know that maybe their bats awoke. Orioles versus righties are hitting hard since June 1st, 260, 760 OPS. Mariners bullpen 4.63 ERA, 1.37 whip. Orioles bullpen 4.39 ERA, 1.52 whip. I'm surprised at those numbers. I really am. These are two pens that I thought were going to be elite to start the year, and they've not been good. Joe Yurkovich says, I have Orioles opening at minus 115 and now plus 100. I think the Orioles should go off at minus 135. They're a great team at home. Take it away for us, Bobano. This one is fascinating. We have tons of action, tons of angles. Mariners, Orioles at Camden, Charm City. Take it away.
Yeah, there's a chance of rain tonight, but it's looking like it's going to be sporadic. It's not going to be constant. It's in that 30 to 40% chance range. They're saying scattered, isolated thunderstorms. So I think they are going to get this game in. But you know my theory with any game that could be delayed by rain. It kills overs. It really does. And that's probably going to keep this a pass for me. I do like the over a little bit here. I thought it was a great spot for Seattle yesterday against the Yankees, and I was all over that. The only thing that didn't cash for me was Brian Wu over strikeouts. Lost by half a strikeout there. He got pulled a little earlier than I thought. 5.5 strikeouts. He had 5. But Scott Service called out the team after the loss on Wednesday, saying, we got to show more fight. You know, it was very disappointing the way we're playing right now. That's about as demonstrative as he's ever been since he's been the manager here against his team and calling out their performance lately. Man, did they respond yesterday. I mean, they just destroyed Domingo Germán early in that game and knocked him out quickly, and then they rolled to a 10-2 victory. I think there's a buy sign on Seattle coming off that little tirade by Service, and look how they responded. You want to see how a team responds to their manager calling them out. And they responded in the right way. Last night against the Yankees. They just put the fucking boots to the Yankees in that game. That's the response you want to see, you know. And so I think Seattle's a bit of a bet on team, but the value's not there. Logan Gilbert hasn't been consistent enough. They're a road favorite now. I can't take any team against Baltimore in Baltimore as a road favorite. Baltimore's just been so steady, so good all season long. Gibson's been capable, as you mentioned, at home. So I definitely think there's spots to bet Seattle. I just don't think the price is good enough tonight. But I could see them going on a bit of a run here. I lean over, but I'm going to pass.
Yeah, I get it. To answer a couple questions from our cappers in the chat, Mal and TJ. TJ wants to know what the line movement has been at Pinnacle on the first 5, and there's been a lot of movement, even though it's been a lot of changes, I should say. Not a lot of movement, but a lot of changes. This opened up slightly juiced to the under. The first move came in 35 minutes in, and there was a 3-cent move to the over. Then in the next hour and a half or so, there was a 5-cent move to the under. All in all, it's a 1-cent move to the over. All in all, the 4.5. To answer our guy Mal's question, what did it open with at the plus 1.5? I can tell you. This for the Mariners opened plus 1.5 at minus 206 at Pinnacle. And it is now minus 213. So we've only had 7 cents of movement on that, plus 1.5. And Mal and TJ, thank you guys for being members of Pub Sports Radio. It means a ton to us. So thank you for doing that. Topset says Baltimore team total over 3.5 is a gift. Vitalis says Pinnacle keeps track of first 5 movement and cash. No. I use a different site for the movement. I use 2 different sites for those, and I don't. I can't follow first 5 cash. At least I haven't been able to thus far. There's Fat Cat Ninja in the house. Thank you for the kind words. And Nutflush Allen here says, I don't know what's going on in life. I miss almost 2 weeks of the show. I listen to replay, and Jose's getting married. We're having a low bag wedding. It is shocking. And it's wild that he's just telling us he's getting married. He's not proposed. He hasn't gotten a ring. He hasn't done some of the things that one would think are necessary to get married. But we're just supposed to believe that the woman he loves him back, which is not an easy thing to do. TJ's on the gift. Seattle, Baltimore, first 5 over 4.5 at -110. And I don't know what to do with this game. I guess I like that look. I fear Gilbert and Gibson. I know they can both turn it on, but I do love the stats that have been dropped by TJ to say that they're both vulnerable right now. If there was no rain in the forecast, I would move on this over 4.5. I still like it. I still might move on it, but I'm not going to move on it yet. Bobano, you're off this one?
Yes, I am off this one. I like the over, but I don't like betting it when I know there could be rain. That's no good for overs long term.
Okay, let's roll on. Let's roll on. A lot of fun with this. It'd be a wild wedding. Vital says you got to tell Jose to wrangle some pigeons to release at the wedding. They're not doves, but we gamblers have to work with what we got. Respect all of it. Okay, let's roll on. We head over. So I was waiting for this line to drop. Rangers, Yankees. Waiting for it to drop. I figured that the reason why it wasn't dropping until this morning was because Clark Schmidt wasn't pitching. And I didn't know why. But I saw on RotoWire they had Luis Severino. I had both pitchers capped because you guys know I like Clark Schmidt. And I love pitchers whose numbers over a full season indicate that they're not very good when I believe that they're better than that. And I have a brass in the Yankees who I believe in what they think about pitchers, believing in it. So this was a spot that I was extremely interested in. I was waiting and waiting and waiting for it to be dropped, the total. The total, by the way, this first 5 in this Yankees Dunning Schmidt spot opened up at -104 to the under. It's now -1, a 1 cent move to the over. But I was very interested in what that was going to be. Let's go to the full game money line as well. I like Dane Dunning. You guys watched me cash with him a lot last year. In fact, these pitchers are somewhat similar. Dane Dunning got off to a bad start last year, and I kept saying to everyone, he's better than the numbers indicate. And now he's showing us. This total came out at 8.5, and there's been a 3 cent move to the over. So just no movement here on the totals. Let's go to the money line here in this one. And, two pitchers that I like, I can often make mistakes with, make moves that I don't need to make. And then we always fear the Rangers bats. This opened with the Rangers at -104. They're now -107. So we really have no movement. We have a very slight move to the over and a very slight move to the Texas Rangers. 28% of tickets, 32% of cash are on the Yankees. Then we have 21% of tickets, 33% of cash on the under. And BJ says Clark Schmidt is trash, Jim. Says, why do you think he has better numbers than they indicate? I believe he's more of a reliever than a starter. Look, let's talk about the George Kirby Clark Schmidt start. He had terrible numbers. I believe in the Yankees brass. He went in and looked awesome. He looked awesome and made a lot of money off of it. I've made money off Clark Schmidt this year. He's coming off a loss at the Red Sox. It was an offensive situation. He went 4 2/3, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 Ks, 3 walks. Dabby Cab here is on the first 5 over 4.5. Moose Money really wants to take the.
Well, what have you been making money with those Schmidt, the Yankees or the unders with Schmidt? There's a big difference because they haven't won with Schmidt on the mound at any point recently.
No, they haven't.
The unders have been hitting.
The unders have been hitting.
Yeah. Okay.
The unders have been hitting. Yeah.
So
and I've,
the unders.
And that this is part of the fun, BJ, is that we don't have to agree with everything. And
right.
When we don't agree, BJ, it's nice that you don't call me a crybaby pussy like others do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go. Dane Dunning against Clark Schmidt. Let's start with the weather in New York. 70 Fahrenheit, 6.4 miles per hour in. Stays between 6.4 and 4.8. Let's go over to Ballpark Pal here with what they think of Yankee Stadium, plus 11% runs, plus 11% home runs, minus 11% doubles and triples, plus 2% singles, plus 2% runs altogether, plus 2%. TJ says he has the over first 5 over 4.5 in the queue right now. Should be 5 and juiced over. So he has some hesitation. Rocco Rogers says, I'm really liking the Rangers here. I've backed Schmidt before, but I think Rangers offense is dangerous for him. Mally Mal says, where's my guy Tom Miggins at? Tom Miggins jumped in the chat and gave us his action. I'll be able to talk about it. The Ribeye play of the day and Topset have action here. Topset says very confident in Texas to put the pain on the Yanks. He's on the series as well, plus 105. Mike M, Ribeye play of the day is in Adolis Garcia. Plus 155. This is 8-4 plus 9.95 units. Average line plus 180. ROI at 70%. 70%. Let's get this here and copy and paste that. Ribeye play of the day is in. So, first off, Dane Dunning, something he had a problem with last year. He's been very good on the road. He's coming off a win at home over the Jays. He looked great, 6 innings, 2 earned runs. On the road, he's a 2.43 ERA. Opponents are doing 223 off of him, and he's not allowed a home run. He's not allowed a single home run on the road. Clark Schmidt at home, his numbers are improving. They were really bad at first. He's got a 4.30 ERA and a 269 opponent's batting average. The Rangers are smashing righties, 268, 818. The Yankees aren't, 192, 620 since June 1st. The Rangers bullpen starting to look a little better. The Yankees bullpen has been strong since June 1st. 3.10 ERA, 1.08 whip. Take it away for us, Bo Bano. Texas Rangers, New York Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. You've been on a lot of Schmidt unders. As far as the win-loss quotient of it, look, he hasn't even pitched that badly. I mean, in the last 5 starts, 2, 1, 3, 0, 1 in the last 5 starts for Clark Schmidt since May 25th. He has been better. There's no doubt. Unfortunately, the Yankees peculiarly are not winning with him on the mound. 0-5 in his last 5 starts. So that hasn't unfortunately led to victories for the ball club. Earlier this year, he faced Texas back on April 28th. He got roughed up. 5 runs, 10 hits, 5 innings. And that's the issue here, for the Yankees and for Schmidt, is that he's just not a guy that's going to go deep into the game. Consistently, 6 innings tops. Most of the time, 4.2 innings, 5 innings. That's about it that you've been getting from him this year. So we'll have to wait and see on this. What I do know is this Texas lineup's been absolutely crushing the baseball. Everybody knows that. They've been scoring runs in bunches. They have the off day, obviously, after playing the White Sox. And, of course, Dane Dunning. I like Dane Dunning. You're right, Jimmy. He's been solid for the Texas Rangers this year. This price looks cheap on Texas, but Schmidt's been solid. So probably maybe lean more to Texas full game. I think I'm going to pass. I think because I kind of want to take the team total for Texas over. It's 4 minus 125 at Caesars. I like, just asking this team to get 5 runs doesn't seem like a lot right now with the way they're absolutely mashing the ball. And they got 5 against Schmidt back in April in Texas. With that 4 out there, I will go ahead with that as an official play, Jimmy. We'll put that in for me. Texas team total over 4 minus 125 at Caesars.
Rangers team total over 4 at minus 125. Interesting spot. One thing I talk about is and I really believe this is really being true for me this year, is when there's cappers you respect on a side and you disagree and you have the conviction to go up against it. My ROI is very high. I don't have the conviction here. I lean to the under 8.5. I'm certainly not going to go up against a bunch of you guys. Now, I know that there's not many of you on the full game over, but even the fact that you Dabby and Matt and TJ are on the over first 5 is enough to keep me just off of this spot.
I mean, there's just too many guys in this lineup that are just seeing it right now. Josh Young and Jonah Heim, and they haven't even gotten to Simeon and Seager yet. It's just incredible what we're seeing from this lineup. So to me, a team total of 4 doesn't come around every time.
I get it. I guess will be a stay off spot for me. Let's move on. And shout out to our guy, Arthur Mead Jr. What a guy. So supportive of everything we do here. It means so much to us. Says, good afternoon, Jimmy the Baggy and Cameron. How about those British Columbia Lions? Looking very good so far, but it's early. Arthur Mead Jr. gave us the over 9.5 wins for the BC Lions before the season started.
Yep, I'm on that bet too. Yeah, and Arthur, you said kind words about the football show I'm doing, CFL related right now, so I appreciate that as well. Had Will Arndt, former CFL quarterback, on the show last week. Sandy Beveridge, my old friend from here in Hamilton, this past week. So it's fun doing that show, and I appreciate the kind words for that too, Arthur. We appreciate you watching this show too, and the donation.
Yeah, he's a great guy and a great friend, and hopefully he comes up for an Argos game this year, and I can have a beer with him and sit beside him. Let's move on. Those tickets are easy. It's Junior Jays this weekend. We want the kids to get down to the A's game, and
Junior Jays Sunday now. It used to be Saturday. It's Sunday now. Yeah.
And man, are the tickets expensive. My good God. Makes me want to go to the Argos game instead. All right, let's go. 7:07 p.m. Eastern. Oakland Athletics 19-58, 10-29 on the road at the Toronto Blue Jays, 41-35, 19-13 at home. We're at Rogers Centre in Toronto, Ontario. The roof will be closed. There's a possibility of rain throughout the night, and we expect that roof to be closed. But that's not facts. So let's go over this here. I just don't want to expect this roof to be closed. They have light rain at 9 and yes. Okay. The roof will be closed. The roof will be closed. And we know that the ball doesn't quite fly as well when the roof is closed. We have Caprillion going up against Bassett. Let's start with the line history here in Toronto. Get over to Penny. Make sure this is full game. Good. Okay, so we open up with Toronto minus 283 to now minus 304. 21 cents of movement. Curious to see if Jose, after his great success with the minus 300 fade, wants to do that here. We'll ask him that when he comes for the Red Sox game. So we have a 21-cent move towards the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's take a look at the total here in this one. And this I was very interested in. Bassett's been so good at home, and he's not been good lately, and I thought maybe I'd get a nice number. This opened up at 9. Vladdy Guerrero is not hitting, and that's a big hole in the lineup. And this moved down to 8.5 several times. Every time it would move to 8.5, it'd go back up to 9. Right now, we have a 6 cents of movement to the over. So this opened up over 9 at plus 101. It's now over 9 at minus 105. 6 cents of movement to the over. Nate Dogg, who knows this Jays team very well, he's on Bassett over strikeouts. Chapman to hit a homer. Looks like Chapman might have broken out of his funk. And Guerrero to hit a homer. Mally Mal says, I hate the Jays as huge favorites. And Joe Yurkovich is on the under. Interesting. So let's pull this up. Mally Mal says, Royals just beat a minus 360. Vegas going to let that happen again. Terenzi says Jays are the most frustrating team to bet in any sport. Now, if you guys remember, and I said this at the beginning of the year, I said this throughout the year, the day is finally here. And I said that on Friday, June 23rd, we can decide if we want to bet futures on the Jays. The schedule after this is much, much easier. And I picked out this date. Now, when I look at the futures, I can't believe them. Are they not watching the Blue Jays team that I'm watching? I can't move on the Jays futures. This is a team that's sitting here at 41-35 in the toughest division in baseball. And they have the Rangers are only slightly more favored than them to win the World Series. I mean, to win the American League, you're getting 7-1. Will this team even make the playoffs? That's a fair question right now. I thought I'd be getting a little bit better number on the Jays, but I still am thinking about doing it just because this was my whole plan. All right, let's take a look at the cash flow here for this Jays spot. You have 24% of the tickets on the A's and 61% of the cash. There's still been a 21-cent move over to the Jays. Then you have 58% tickets, 58% cash on the under. I'm interested in that under. I really am. I don't trust this Blue Jays offense, and I think Bassett could bounce back from a couple bad starts. Caprillion coming off a nice start at home versus the Phillies. He's been atrocious on the road. 17 in the third innings, 15 strikeouts, 14 walks, 7.27 ERA, 282 opponents batting average. But look, the Jays just don't have a scary lineup. It's not a menacing lineup. Bassett, 4.16 ERA, 1.20 whip. coming off an 11-7 loss at the Rangers, which was just a horrific loss when they were up, like 6 or 7-0. At home, though, he's lights out. 3-1, 2.18 ERA. He's only allowed 2 home runs in 41 1/3, 131 opponents batting average. This is the team he grew up playing for. The A's since June 1st are hitting 243, 683 OPS versus righties. The Jays since June 1st, 252, 720. The A's bullpen's been pretty good. Jays bullpen's not being 4.46 ERA, 1.35 whip. I'm very interested in that under 9 that Joe Yurkovich is on. Take it away for us, Bobano, A's, Jays.
Yeah, this is very similar to Zach Eflin in Tampa Bay. I'm doing the exact same approach here. We're doing the pitcher win and the pitcher strikeouts for Chris Bassitt in this game. I like both. So again, with Bassitt at the to record the win, and again, he's 4-2 are the Jays in his 6 home starts, 2.18 ERA for him at home. He has a 3-1 win-loss record at home. A good chance that if the Jays win this game, Bassett's getting the victory against an Oakland lineup that I think he is capable of shutting down. Plus 110 is the price, by the way, at DraftKings for Chris Bassitt to record the win. And I'm also going to take a strikeout prop over. We know Oakland's a K prop target. They strike out a shit ton. They have all year. And I think it's a good spot for Bassitt to get those swings and misses. He'll be amped up. One of his former teams. Remember, one of his best starts this year, and it was actually one of his rare good road starts, was against the New York Mets. And plus he had just the thoughts of his child about to be born as well going into that start, and he completely dominated the Mets. I think he's going to have that kind of start tonight against this Oakland team, another one of his former teams. I like both of those looks here in this game. The record a win prop at plus 110, and I'm also going to take over strikeouts, over 5.5, minus 102. Great cheap price there at Pinnacle.
That was a spectacular start against Verlander. Then he had the birth of his baby, came back, and I took the first 5 over when he came back. I was like, how could he be? And he was spectacular again in that home start. I'm going to tail Joe Yurkovich on this under 9. I just don't trust the Jays to light up anybody. I think that the A's bullpen is being, mediocre to good. And the Jays bullpen shouldn't have too much heart. How many innings are we going to see from the Jays bullpen?
The counter argument to that is, they busted out finally 6 runs against Sandy Alcantara yesterday and the Marlins, or Wednesday, I should say, against the Marlins. But at the same time, the Jays lineup's been pretty spotty all year, and maybe daring them to do it again may not be the worst thing.
Yeah, no, I get it. Cogerino says those road stats by Caprillion are inflated from his early form versus the Rays and Rangers, top 2 run differentials, and Angels when they were full strength. He likes that under. TJ says you might see a 9.5. I don't know, really, TJ, because this has been going back and forth from 9 to 8.5. And right now this under 9 is slightly juiced. But you're right. Look at some of these other books. Bovada at minus 120 to the over. The Sharp books are not juiced to the over at all. Oh, I take that back. Heritage is. Interesting. I will wait. Okay, that's great stuff. All right, let's roll. I am going to be on the under, though. I'm going to be watching this total very closely, but I think that, and circa minus 125 to the over 9. And that's very helpful. If I had to bet the under 9 and moved 9.5, I'd be livid. But also, if it moves to 9.5 without juice, I might stay off of it. I think that would be a sign that I'm on the wrong side. So okay, I'll wait, though. I'll wait and get more information. Bobano on Bassitt to win a plus 110 and the over 5.5 strikeouts at minus 102. All right, finally, the 2 bets that I made with confidence. They were the first things I bet. I got them in at 7 or 8 o'clock last night. I got them as soon as the market came out and with no idea where the market was going to go. One line went with me, one went against me. And then the one that went against me moved and started going with me. I don't know. I haven't looked at them now in about 4 hours, so we will see. Let's start with the first one, the one I like the best. 7:10 p.m. Eastern, Milwaukee Brewers, 38-36, 16-18 on the road at the Cleveland Guardians, 36-38, 19-17 at home, Progressive Field in Cleveland, Ohio. I almost tripled up on both of these once I saw the Red Sox, White Sox move in my direction. I'm on the first 3 under 2.5 and the first 5 under 4.5, and I paid the juice. And it was expensive. The first 5 under 4.5 was minus 125, and the first 3 under 2.5 was minus 135. And even when this Brewers Guardians game went with me, and I'll check it out soon, the first 3 under 2.5 did not. It moved to minus 130. It moved 5 cents against me. So we'll check out and see what it is right now. Let's go. We're going to start with the weather, and the weather doesn't help me in either of these unders. We'll start with the first one in Cleveland, 69 Fahrenheit, 8.2 miles per hour right to left, and then 6.9 miles per hour in. But it's sticky, and Ballpark Pal has shown that there's a chance for offense here at Progressive. Plus 7% home runs, plus 15% doubles and triples, minus 3% singles, but plus 7% runs on this one. So, and Don Play says he sees the under 4.5 minus 130 right now. That makes me feel good. Let's go to that line history. But you know what? I'm just going to go to Bet365 here for me. I just want to know exactly what they've done with this just for my own confidence. We have the first 5 has moved to 4. So I would have to go to an alternate total to see what the 4.5 is. And the alternate total at 4.5. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. The alternate total at 4.5 is minus 135. So I only beat that move by 10 cents. Then the first 3 under is gone 5 cents against me. So that is not what I want to see here. Then we'll go over to the full line movement. Here we'll start with the money line in Milwaukee, Cleveland. There's been a move towards Milwaukee. Cleveland opened up at minus 142. They're now minus 128. So there's been, 14 cents movement there for Cleveland, but Milwaukee is at 13 cents movement from plus 131 to plus 118. So you have to ask yourself, and we can do this with the total, is that telling you that Bieber is vulnerable, or is that telling you that Wade Miley is going to pitch well here? And for me, it's that Wade Miley is going to pitch well. I really like Wade Miley, and I believe in him. And he gets a ton of soft contact, and he's not good for the eye test, but he's good when you watch batters, struggle to get barrels on him. This under opened up as a pick 'em at 8. There's been 5 cents of movement to the under, and that's all that's happened with this under. Came out at 7:30 p.m. yesterday. There was 2 cents of movement at 9:30, another cent at 2:30, and then 2 more cents. So it's never gone in the other direction. Let's go over to the cash flow here, and hopefully this is good news. And it's not. There should be more than 5 cents of movement, I guess. 81% of the tickets and 94% of the cash on the under. Now, I'm only on the first 3 and the first 5, but that makes me nervous. 56% of the tickets and 67% of cash on Milwaukee. That tells me that Miley's going to pitch well here. I will give you that here, Mally Mal, in a second. TJ says full confidence in Bieber, but I think Cleveland can get to Miley and worry about that early under. Guardians are hitting lefties since June 1st, 261, 742 OPS. And, he just went up against Pittsburgh. That's almost has the exact same numbers against lefties. And he didn't allow a run over 5 innings. That was his first start after a month on the IL with a lat strain. He only went 77 pitches. He could have gone further. And I think his arm is ready to go. Well, one of the things I worry about with some of these older vets is arm fatigue. I'm not worried about that with Wade Miley because he spent that month on the IL. He's also very good on the road. He's just a pro pitcher. Doesn't matter if he's at home or on the road. He's a pro pitcher. Shane Bieber, 3.51 ERA, 1.22 whip. We talk about his velocity being down, but I think he's an elite pitcher. And we've been talking about his numbers don't indicate how good he is because he's throwing so many innings on the road. He's throwing 95 innings this year, only 38 at home, where he's 4-1 with a 1.89 ERA. He's allowed 1 home run and 209 opponent's batting average. Coming off a 6-3 loss at Arizona where he didn't look very good, allowed 3 home runs. I like him off that start. I want him to be pitching, when he's upset at what he's just done and not when he's just kind of floating. Moose Money says Bieber's not generating swing and miss stuff anymore. Whip percentage significantly down on all his pitches. Reminds me of Maddox end of career trajectory. We've been talking about that now for 2 years, though, Moose. And the one guy, well, really two, because Sharpie as well, but Noli kept backing him. We kept talking, look, his velocity's down, velocity down. Noli kept backing him on unders, and he kept cashing. And now I've been doing the same, and I'm going to do it again here. I don't care what the Brewers can do offensively because it's awful. I mean, I'm not worried about them. 210, 630 OPS versus righties. And the Brewers bullpen is vulnerable at times where the Guardians not. So there you go. I'm on the first 3 under 2.5 and the first 5 under. These were the first 2 bets that I made on today's card. Take it away for us, Bobano. Progressive Field in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, it's an easy pass for me. I want no part of these teams. I don't trust their offenses half the time. I think the under is not a bad play. I'm not a big fan of Bieber at this stage of his career, but again, Milwaukee's lineup makes any pitcher look good half the time. So this could be a good start for Bieber. His home numbers are actually very solid on the season. You mentioned Miley. Miley's been really good the last 2 starts. 1 run in his last 6.2 innings against St. Louis and Pittsburgh. I know he had the 1 rough start against the Dodgers, but really outside of that, it's been 3 runs or less pretty much from Miley in every recent start. So yeah, I definitely think an underlook makes sense. But for me, it's a pass, and definitely don't want either side.
I'm excited. I have real difficulty sweating the first innings. It's just too intense for me. But the first 3s are right in my wheelhouse.
These are 2 teams I've purposely stayed away from much of the season, so I'm not changing now.
Well, I've got a legit size bet on the Guardians to win the division. And I got that at plus 380. Right now it's plus 240. And I think everybody.
Price. Yeah. They're capable. They're very, they're sound. Their fundamentals are good. They steal bases. They run the base pass well. Defensively, they're pretty good. Their offense can be scary bad sometimes, but their bullpen's solid. There's lots to like. And again, that's a division you can easily overtake, the top spot right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think the Twins are so vulnerable. And Moose Money about the Maddox thing said Maddox was very usable at the end of his career. That's more the point. Different pitcher, but seems to have figured out enough to remain valuable, but high contact teams will be problematic. And Robert Franklin saying that Bieber has learned to pitch to contact. Oh, said big power teams will be problematic. Yeah, no, I feel all that. All right, Sharon Pulliam on the Nerfy here. Okay, so to answer my man Mally Mal's question, Mally Mal, OG, such a big part of the low bag community whom we love dearly. Huge offensive numbers at Great American Ballpark expected, and I'm on that first 5 over 6, plus 31% home runs, plus 6% doubles and triples, plus 1% singles, and plus 17% runs. The second most offensive ballpark, second to Coors, and it was the highest. Things have changed for whatever reason. All right, let's roll on. TJ, my man. Thank you for the kind words. Let's roll on. All right, we roll on to Boston Red Sox and Chicago White Sox. For this spot, we welcome our producer of the show, the star of Say Hey Plays of the day, because we're talking about his Red Sox, and I don't want to say it, but the guy he calls his baby boy, Brian Bayo. Let's bring him on. Jose, there's blood on my tits, Bouquet. Jose, how are you?
Good. By the way, Jimmy, technically I still am single, so all these things are accurate about it.
Oh God, this is just
what's gonna happen when you know, Jim.
All right. Now, Jose, I don't know why you call other grown men your baby boys. I think it's something that.
Well, I'm older than him. I think
it is something that did affect Helga as well. I think that it would help if you really wanted back to stop calling other grown men.
I will admit, I think another good way to do that is to not call her Helga anymore, but that's not happening.
It's impossible.
Yeah, of course.
It's impossible. All right. Let's get to work here. Red Sox, White Sox, guaranteed rate field in Chicago, Illinois. Start with the weather. 75 Fahrenheit, 5.7 miles per hour left to right, and then 4.9 miles per hour in, but it's sticky, icky. Like that chronic. It is humid. So Ballpark Pal has guaranteed rate field at plus 9% home runs, but minus 5% doubles and triples, minus 1% singles, and plus 1% runs here. So
I'm keeping a tally, by the way, Jimmy. Who's getting the invites? Who isn't getting the invites to the wedding? Nuke Worker gets the invite.
Chocolatey Waterfall.
Well, I have a little bit of beef with Chocolatey Waterfall.
Oh, no.
I DM'd her on Twitter to help out our guys, Debbie, Cab, and Dave, and no response. That's I see where the priorities lie. I'm
She's
not
hard to get, man. She's hard to get.
Of course, yeah, and I'm just it hurts me, Jim. I thought we had something here.
Well, a lot of love for you in the chat. A lot of love for you in the chat. And I want to see more of Chocolate Waterfall. I mean, who doesn't?
Of course, I would love to see Dave and Cab, and they even asked me to come on the show and interview. I'd love to talk to Chocolatey Waterfall.
All right, let's discuss the line history here in this one. This was another double up spot for me. This line had moved against me, and then it came. Oh no, it's kind of in between now. So first off, this total opened up at. Oh no, this is moved. Okay, so it opened up at 8, but it moved to 8.5 right away. I knew it was at 8.5, but it did open up at 8. And then it moved back to 8, and that was huge for me at 9:06 a.m. I was so pumped up about that. And it's back at 8.5. So you could still say there's been a move to the over, I guess. Let's see what it's done first 5, because that's my bet, and first 3. So let's see
TJ
that.
was the one that started calling me one hole?
I believe it was, yes.
Wow. Well, TJ, you're on the list. Don't worry. TJ's getting the invite.
I believe he was the one that called you one hole. One hole is a good. It's good. It's a good
he's on the invite list.
It's a good thing for you. All right, I spent a lot of money on this first 5 under 4.5. It cost me -125. There's been a 1 cent move to the over at this point. I'd like to see what it is over at Bet 365, because this one had moved against me, as I said. Let's just see how badly it's moved against me, because I still like this spot. The first 5 under 4.5 is -115. I don't like that at all. I thought this was moving towards me, and it's not. And the first 3 unders. Okay, so this is officially moved against me again.
So what did you bet?
Good. I have the first 5 under 4.5 at -125. I have the first 3 under 2.5 at -135.
I like the bets. I was thinking under in this game as well. Honestly, Lucas Giolito pitched against the Red Sox last year. Pitched well. Again, we've talked about him frequently. Man, I've never seen Jimmy smile like that before. That was terrible. Jimmy saw something that made him happy just now. Do you want to address it?
Yeah, TJ asked you on the drunk show, said you put it in both holes, and you drunkenly responded, "I only have one hole."
Fair.
I remember that.
Fair. I do still have the highlights of that drunk show on my computer somewhere. It's ugly. That day got ugly. Shout out to you, TJ. That's how you know you've been running with us for a long time. But everyone knows
about the cash, though. I want the cash to be involved here in whether or not you have more or less confidence in the situation here.
Of course. Brian Bacho, I obviously love him very much, and he's been everything the Red Sox have wanted and more from him. I said to you, I think this is last week or whenever the last time we talked about this, Bacho last time was he's the first pitcher the Red Sox has developed homegrown since John Lester. They have a lot invested in him, and he's turned out to be great. And he's pitched well in the back-to-back against the Yankees. But Jimmy, as you mentioned, the market here is fucked. If you like the under here, 38% of the bets on the over here, but 88% of the money on the over. It is concerning. We do have people like Troy saying that he saw a move to the under. Mike M saying great Red Sox spot. And Troy also saying that the Red Sox are 5-0, I believe, to the under after them getting shut out. I'll keep saying this, and they tricked me again, those sons of bitches. This Red Sox team is the most average team in baseball. They're so mid. They'll win 2, lose 2. They'll win a series, lose a series. Of course, again, like we said this at the beginning of the Twins series when I thought they were suddenly hot. They win the first 2, I believe, and then fold the last 2, classic fashion. So I actually passed on this game. Like I said, I really leaned heavily towards the Red Sox, but I kind of was a little sketched out by the line. This White Sox team has been bad all year. Their offense has been horrible all year, and you're getting a -105 here. I was pretty shocked. I expected this to be like minus 130, like the Tigers line, maybe even minus 145. But yeah, I passed. I like the under here as well. And shout out to Chocolatey Waterfall because I thought that said I like the sex instead of I like the socks. So shout out to you, Chocolatey Waterfall.
Yeah, she's on your mind. She's on my mind too.
I mean, of course she's on my mind. Why wouldn't she be on my mind?
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Bayo coming off the 2 very strong starts against the Yanks. Last one, 7 innings, 1 earned run, 8 Ks, 3 walks. He just looks locked in right now. Being very strong on the road as well. 3.28 ERA, 222 opponents batting average. Giolito has been excellent at home. 43 and 2/3, 2.47 ERA, 43 Ks, 8 walks. The Red Sox are hitting righties. The White Sox aren't. White Sox 208, 660. Both bullpens have been pretty good. DC Capper with me. I'm very nervous. I did not realize how many big bets were on the over. Troy Torrance says, I truly believe Bayo allows 1 run at most. That should get me the cash, but I'm really nervous. Again, with the Friday spots, I've been tracking the spots, the bets I make before I know the market, and then I drop them on the radio show in the morning in Toronto. I'm 12-8. I lost last week on the Reds with Michaelis against Megal, and that didn't all correlate. And I probably should have just got off of it. And then by correlate, I'm not meaning the market. I mean, we know that Megal's pitching so well at home and so bad on the road. Let's hear what Bobano has to say about this one. Bobano, I doubled up here. Joey Marinaccio says Mike M is on the Red Sox. He is tailing. Troy Torrance says, so it's Red Sox first half, first 5 under, or White Sox team total under. Let's hear what Bobano has to say. Londo leaning to the over, Topset leaning to the first 5 under. Take it away, Bobano, a battle of the Sox, Red Sox, White Sox.
Yeah, for all that, talk about Giolito, and he's been pretty solid, and especially at home with the 2.47 ERA, which is good. He's pitched very well here in Chicago, no question. White Sox are 3-4 in his 7 home starts, so they haven't been winning for some. And look, it's a combination of factors. It's they haven't given him run support. The bullpen's been atrocious for the White Sox at times, and they're in one of those ruts right now where the bullpen hasn't been good. The Chicago bullpen last 10 games is a 5.52 ERA. That's not very good at all. I like Boston here, full game. Just a full game money line for me on the Red Sox in this game. I am buying on Brian Bayo right now. He's pitched a lot better. It's minus 112, by the way, at Pinnacle for Boston money line in this. Actually, minus 110, sorry, at Bet Online. So there you go. It's minus 110 there at Bet Online for Boston. I like Bayo. I like the way he's pitching. He's been good in the last few starts for the Red Sox. 2.7 ERA last 3. 3-1 on the road are the Red Sox in his 4 road starts. So, he's definitely showing finally the signs of that, pitcher that we thought he could be, in the top 2 or 3, I would think, in anybody's rotation. That's probably where he pegs at, and he's been really solid. If you go back to May 10th, this guy has given up 2 runs or less in 6 of his last 7 starts. So, it's really, really hard to argue with that here. And not that Giolito is going to be roughed up here, but I do think Boston, you mentioned it, their performances against righties have been a little bit better than the White Sox. The Boston bullpen's been better lately. Chicago's bullpen terrible, and we saw them lose a couple games, especially against Texas, because the bullpen just couldn't get the job done late. So, and I just think Boston better overall team. So price is more than reasonable. So I took Boston here, minus 110.
And Troy, no, I see 3 cents of movement. 3 cents of movement there towards the Boston Red Sox. So we have Bobano on the Red Sox. We have Troy looking at Red Sox first half. We have Rocco Rogers on the Red Sox. We have Mike M saying one of his favorite spots is that first 5 under, but he likes the Red Sox. Nice little spot. And who else? Ron Crawford, spreadsheet play of the day is the Boston Red Sox, and Ron Crawford is hot right now on our show. 7 of his last 8 winners. Ron Crawford now 25-18, hitting at 58.1%, plus 7.12 units, ROI plus 16.56%, average line minus 102. He has never missed a show. He's given us 1 spreadsheet play today on each show, and the ROI on those bets are plus 16.56%. Shout out to our Ron Crawford, who's on the Boston Red Sox. Mr. Heat says, my Sox have never seen Bayo before. Careful with that. Joey Marinaccio on the Red Sox and the under. Moose Money saying, really like the under here, but that cash does worry me. But this was one of my first plays placed. Yeah, it was my first too. There you go. Jose staying off of it.
I think I'll join you guys.
On the Red Sox?
Yeah, I'll join you guys on the Red Sox and first 5 under there. Like Bobano said, shout out to our friends at Bet Online, -110 there. As always, if you guys need a book, you guys looking for extra books, because Bet Online always has great baseball odds, go to Pub Sports Radio's website, click the link there, click the little logo, it'll take you to their website, sign up, you'll get a deposit match there, 100% up to $1,000. So why not drop $1,000 in there? Put $2,000 in there, put $500 in there, you'll get $1,000 in there as well. And yes, I guess Joe Yurkovich, this is my FOMO play of the day. But yeah, I'll be on the Red Sox full game money line there, -110 again. Shout out to Bet Online. And the first 5 under 4.5, -118 for me.
You are locked in. I'm very nervous about our first 5 under. And there's our guy, KD Kadesh, a spectacular NBA capper, hanging with us, running with us in MLB. I love that. New Quirker, thank you, my man. Enjoy your weekend, my friend. And Mark Schillingberg shouting out Ron Crawford, killing those KBO picks. All right, I'm on the first 3 under 2.5, the first 5 under 4.5. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play today on Boston, Bobano on Boston, Jose on Boston, and also the first 5 under 4. And
by the way, you were going to ask me about Oakland today, the -300 fade. Yeah. I would much rather the line be going towards the A's or the Rays or whatever team I'm betting, like it was yesterday. That'd be an ideal.
Is that something you're going to start doing then? If the line is moving towards the fade of the -300, you'll bet it. If not, no.
Most likely, yeah. The thing I would love to see, because I shout out to our guy Troy Torrance, because he's got his databases and such. The 1.5s, they always seem to come through in these -300 fade. These games are always close for whatever reason. So I'm going to be on Oakland +1.5, +135. And I'd love to know, Troy, what the if you could do that. I don't know if your spreadsheet is capable of that, but what the percentages are for the 1.5 there, because he mentioned it this year. Their -300 fade was fucking getting dominated, 18-1 or whatever it was. This is the first one all year at cash. Finally,
wow, that's crazy. I didn't realize that had happened. I knew that you stopped betting them because it wasn't going well, but I didn't realize.
Oh yeah, no, not one. And they've been close. They've all been fucking close too. It's a very heartbreaking game. But yeah, I would love to know the +1.5s here. And then he obviously mentioned last year they were just falling like left and right. So hopefully today, tomorrow, yesterday, whatever, was the start of all that.
So you're on the A's +1.5.
Yeah. I have to, I've been tweeting out my action throughout the show, and I have to just fucking keep retweeting stuff out because I have to add stuff. Like I added shout out to our guy, Mike M. I'm on his RBI prop at Elise Garcia because I'm on Texas Rangers first 5 full game. I think the Rangers just beat the shit out of the Yankees today because everyone keeps telling me they're the best team in baseball, et cetera, et cetera. We'll beat this shitty Yankees team without Aaron Judge. And, Jimmy and I both did well. We'll disagree on the Yankees pitching prowess. And I think Clark Schmidt gets crushed today. So that'll be interesting. And I'm right there with, by the way, Razor as well. Detroit first 5 full game too.
Oh yeah, is that move?
You can get that at +108 first 5 and +114 full game at Bet Online. Again, go sign up for them as well. It'll be very interesting. Kong's Clips. I'm fairly certain those sports books do work in Indiana. I think it's across the United States that those books work at. So double check. You can check that. But again, you can deposit match and all that. And it's easy to sign up on our website.
A's +1.5 is at what number?
+135 for me here. And then again, the best part about the -300 fades is those +1.5s are still like +140 almost. So
I dealing with tremendous back pain. It went away a little bit last night with the 6-0 day, and I didn't take any Advil, and it's just but it all happened because of struggling and capping. As soon as
Helga's going to have to get you on the stretching program.
Oh, Kong's Clips has something really nice to say about you.
Oh, okay. Really? That's a rare one.
Let's
Bayo over 5.5 strikeouts. I'm on that as well in this game. Over 5.5 strikeouts +120.
Oh, thank you.
Almost forgot to mention that. Yeah.
5.5 Ks at what was it, G?
Plus 120.
Plus 120. All right. We are locked in. Is there a say hey play of the day coming up, Jose?
No, actually, all my plays have already we've already talked about them. Detroit, Seattle. I'm on Seattle first 5 full game there as well. Detroit, Seattle, Texas are all my spots there, and then the Boston spots and at Elise, and shout out to Oakland. So yeah, that's the whole card as of now. So I appreciate it, but it's going to be an interesting day. I'm still 7.9 units away from the black, climbing back and forth. It's going to be fun. So I cannot wait to see what happens. And Connor Mack joins me as well. You know, admittedly, I'm kind of rattled after Con's clip saying that he loves my dick. I wish that was someone else saying that and not Con's clips. I can think of one person in the chat in particular I would love to hear that from. But thank you, Con's clip. That's in my head now for the rest of the day. Thank you.
Well, Lieutenant Dan's legs also seems to have affinity for that as well. I'm a little shocked by all of this, but at
what point will you not be surprised at all this in our working relationship?
That some of the I don't even want to talk about it anymore. How about that? I would like to stop talking about this.
Fair enough.
All right, let's roll on. This is the next move that I like very, very much. This was not part of my original action, but I really liked it. Gave it out on the radio this morning and bet it last night. And it is going up against the very offensive weather at Coors Field, but I feel like these are the pitchers to do it with. Let's talk about Los Angeles Angels at Colorado Rockies. 80 Fahrenheit at Coors, 8.6 miles per hour in. It's always between 8.6 and 10 miles per hour. At first it's straight in, then it's like left to right, slightly in. But it's sticky and thin air and plus 27% home runs, plus 11% doubles and triples, plus 10% singles, plus 24% runs. But one of the things, sorry, I have not Mally Mountain. I'll pull it up for you. Here. One thing that Noli always says is he says, look, it's built into the number. I mean, it's just built into the number. And I'm going to take my confidence in the fact that this is built into the number. And also, I beat this line move. I got the under 6.5 at minus 105. The first 5 under 6.5 at minus 105. And it really quickly moved to -1. It was minus 115, maybe 2 or 3 hours after it. Let's see what it is right now. The first 5 here at Bet365, and it is at minus 120. So it's a 15-cent move that I beat there. I love it. I love that that's happening. So let's just go over the actual line history at Pinnacle and not the 15-cent move that I beat over at Bet365. First off, we'll talk the money line here at Pinnacle. This opened up with the Rockies plus 139 and now plus 142. So we have 3 cents of movement to the Angels, just 3 cents of movement. Then we'll move over to the total in this one here. Full game total opened up at 11.5. It was juiced to the over at most books. It was juiced to the over here at Penny, and it's now juiced to the under. So we have 7 cents of movement to the under, 3 cents of movement to the Angels. If there's a lot of money here on the Angels, you should be concerned about that action. And we have, it's not. Yes, you know what? Maybe this is a Rockies bet. 68% of the tickets are on the Angels and 7% of the cash. Just 7% of the cash. So huge bets coming in on Colorado. That just changed. So now it's 70% of the tickets and 7% of the cash. For the Rockies, 30 and 93. So big bets have come in on Colorado Rockies. On the total, 71% of the tickets and 89% cash on the under, and the market's not moving towards the under. That makes me nervous. Makes me really nervous. So Topset said he just bet the Angels -1 and he loves it. Interesting. Robert Franklin on the Rockies and the over. Troy Torrance liking the under as well. Darren Turner liking the under. And Andrew G. saying Freeland's Rockies best pitcher. Colorado boy. Let's talk about these 2 pitchers here and head it over to Bobano. 3 games left after this. Patrick Sandoval, 4-6, 4.08 ERA, 1.42 WHIP. He's not been very good this year. I mean, he's only allowed 5 home runs in 70 2/3, but he hasn't been very good. He showed out against the Royals. This was the angriest day of the year for me, was last Friday. I was all over Singer. I was telling you, look, Singer is going to shove. He made so much money for me last year. He's going to shove. And he pitched great. Unfortunately, I was on the Royals first 3 and first 5. Sandoval pitched great. And I had the first 5 under 5. So I didn't, lose. But I lost and I was right. And that's what drives me fucking bananas. Sandoval pitched great. 7 innings, no earned runs, 6 Ks, 4 walks. Look, it's a lot easier pitching at Kansas City than it is pitching at Coors. On the road, he's been good this year, though. His struggles have mainly come at home. On the road, 3.79 ERA. He's allowed 1 home run on the road in 35 2/3, and he has a 215 opponent's batting average. Kyle Freeland has been lights out at home. It's a very hard thing to do at Coors. 42 1/3, 3-2, 3.19 ERA, 36 strikeouts, 11 walks. He's allowed just 4 home runs in 42 1/3 innings at Coors. I mean, that's impressive. He's coming off a bad start at the Braves, but look, the Braves are monsters. The Angels are not. The Angels are hitting 200 with a 639 OPS first lefty since June 1st. That's even worse than the Rockies, who are 221, 662. Angels bullpen's been very good. Rockies bullpen has been vulnerable. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Angels, Rockies.
Dual strikeout prop game. Both of these guys for me. That's the look for me. Sandoval for the Angels, who's actually had 8 strikeouts in his last start. The Rockies have had trouble all season with striking out against lefties. So I think he can come in. And look, he's been better on the, you mentioned it. His numbers on the road are slightly better for Sandoval this year. So on the road. So I'm going to go Patrick Sandoval over 4.5 strikeouts minus 134 at Caesars. And Freeland's not really a huge strikeout guy consistently, but you mentioned the numbers for the Angels against lefties and the fact that, at home in particular, Kyle Freeland per 9 innings is averaging 7.65 strikeouts per 9 innings at Coors Field this season. And I can get a strikeout prop tonight for Kyle Freeland at 3.5 with plus money against an Angels team that I know is capable, of striking out here against lefty pitching. So I like Freeland as well, over 3.5 strikeouts plus 115 at Pinnacle. So there you go. 2 strikeout props, one for both starters.
You got it locked in. Moose Money also saying Sandoval's first ever start at Coors, but he did pitch in the Pacific Coast League, so he has played at altitude. All right, there you go. Angels, Rockies. I'm on the first 5 under 6.5. A little nervous with the offensive conditions, but I just love the fact that these two teams are not hitting lefties at all. And Bobano on the over 4.5 Ks for Sandoval.
I mean, last 4 starts for Freeland, 5, 8, 4, and 5 strikeouts. And all he needs is 4.
I am excited about this game, 8:40 p.m. Eastern. All right, let's roll on. We have 3 games left. 9:40 p.m. Eastern, Washington Nationals, 28-46, 15-19 on the road at San Diego Padres, 36-39, 19-20 at home at Petco Park in San Diego, California. Let's go over to the weather in San Diego. 66 Fahrenheit, 10.5 miles per hour, left to right and in. Dies down to 8.3, but it's blowing in. Let's see here. This is one of the few parks that there aren't expecting offense in. Petco, minus 9% home runs, minus 8% doubles and triples, minus 3% singles, minus 9% runs altogether. Darren Turner says Padres smash spot here. And Topset says don't see the Rockies hitting shit today. And Gio in the house. Great to see you, Gio M. In fact, with back to this maybe there's too much money on the Rockies. I am going to look at a bet on the Rockies, though, which I didn't, with Sandoval never pitching at Coors, I do have interest in the Rockies now. I don't want to go up against Topset, but some huge bets have come in on the Rockies, and I'm I am interested. So I'm going to look at that some more. Nothing for certain. But let's talk about this Patrick Corbin, Joe Musgrove start. And I'll keep saying it. I think Patrick Corbin will give us a ton of betting opportunities at home. On the road, it's just different. I just don't trust him at all. And I don't really trust him at home, but I think that the numbers are worth the implied probability. Padres open up at minus 253. They're now minus 274. 21 cents of movement towards the Padres. Let's take a look at the total in this one. This one opened up at 8, and Pinnacle's moved it to 8.5. implying that Corbin probably gets touched. The interesting thing about this is that this opened up at 8. It lasted there for about 5 hours and then moved to 7.5. It was at 7.5, and it didn't last there for long. It lasted there for 4 minutes before it was right back at 8. But it did go down to 7.5, and then it did again at 2:43 in the morning. So this move to 8.5, this move to the over is something that's been happening in the last couple hours or so. Mike M saying Tatis is my second favorite RBI spot on the card tonight, and Rocco Rogers is the first 5 parlay of the day. Padres first 5 and Giants first 5. I will copy and paste that. Ron Walsek talking about 2 fills in the Ohio Derby. Yeah, I expect 2 fills to have this as the race that sets them up for the Travers Stakes. That's my expectation. I think 2 fills is a monster. Whether or not he's worth it at that price is up to you, but I think he's an absolute monster. And I don't know why he ducked the competition. Maybe they just want him rested and they want him for the Travers Stakes and then the Classic, the Breeders' Cup in LA. Patrick Corbin going up against Joe Musgrove. Let's just touch on the cash flow here. A surprising move to the over. For the cash flow, we have 65% of the tickets, 68% of cash on the Padres market moving towards them. Then just 35% of tickets are on the under and 50% of the cash. We've seen the U-shaped movement, which makes me quite nervous. So here we go. Patrick Corbin, last start at home was not very good. 6 innings, 4 earned runs against the Marlins. On the road, he's not been good. 5.40 ERA, 288 opponent's batting average, 9 home runs allowed in 33 1/3. I believe Musgrove is bet on. I've been saying that. I've screwed it up a couple times on unders, and I got screwed it up on the under against Jesus Luzardo when Jesus Luzardo got lit up and smoked. But he's just pitching well. There's no other way around it. Coming off 5-4 win at home versus the Rays, 6 innings, 2 earned runs, just 1 strikeout. And at home, his numbers aren't very good. But if you take out the Mexico City game, which counted as a home start, he's gone 27 innings. He's 2-1. He has 25 strikeouts, 7 walks, and he's allowed 2 home runs. So much better numbers if you take out that Mexico City game. Nats versus righties, 270, 705 versus June 1st. And the Padres are raking lefties since June 1st, 266, 893 OPS. I've got the Padres at, I think it was 9.5 to 1 to win the division. I believe they're 11 to 1 right now. I think they get hot here. I really think they get hot here. They're the only team I have in for a division bet in the NL West. And I think they're going to get hot. And I think there's going to be an opportunity for me to cash that. I really do. Padres bullpen being very good, 3.22 ERA, 1.09 whip. Moose Money knows this team inside and out. Says going to my first Padres game of the year, super stoked. What a day. Started off with Pub Fam and finished with my Friar Faithful. Says since Padres realized there's a whole other half to the field, offense has looked much better. And Moose says absolutely Jimmy Musgrove getting stronger and stronger. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Nats, Padres.
Little juicy, but I'm on San Diego team total, over 4.5, minus 145 at BetMGM. I think that's the best way to approach it. Don't want to deal with minus 280, but I do think the Padres get to Corbin. Corbin, you mentioned it. They're smashing lefties all of a sudden. We saw what they did to Alex Wood yesterday against San Francisco, ended that incredible win streak for the Giants. I think they get a little momentum off that. And again, this is a very hittable lefty, obviously, in Patrick Corbin, as I've talked about all season. Now, he's not been nearly as bad as, I thought he would be early in the season. He had some decent starts for a little bit, but still 5.40 ERA on the road. On average, teams are getting, almost 6 runs per game on average against in Corbin road starts this year. The opponent is averaging almost 6 runs per game. I need 5 here to cash this ticket. I think they can get the job done here with the offense. And we know the Nationals lineup is always very capable of giving up runs later in the game. Musgrove should pitch well here, but again, I didn't love the value for him or against this Washington team. Again, the pitcher to record a win prop, kind of interesting. I lean that way a little bit, but I want to focus more on just the Padres having that advantage over Corbin and the bullpen of the Nationals. So team total for me over 4.5.
I hate big run lines, but this would be one that does actually interest me a bit. Tell me, didn't you say this? I will say I've tried Corbin over hits allowed 3 times, and they're only times he's gone under. It says 4 times the charm. I can't do it. I have horrible ROI on -2s. and this total is at 8.
Yep.
So I guess and with the weather, I'll just leave this alone. But
5-1, 5-2. I could see that being this game. Honestly, something like that.
Yeah, so can I. And Troy looking at it as well. And I just, you know what, I have to let it go. My ROIs on -2 are, negative, and I just don't go back to the well on something that's not succeeded with you.
Tough travel for Washington too. No day off, flying from Washington, where they completed their series against Arizona yesterday, to San Diego, East Coast to West Coast, with no day off. That's a little tough too.
It's horrible. This is just a horrible all-around spot for the Nats.
Yep.
But how angry would you be if you watch the Padres not produce against Corbin? This has got to be a Padres spot. Jesus. Come on. I mean, this is just... But the problem is that total. I just wish there was a higher implied volatility. I mean, the total is just too low. If this was a 9, I would feel much more comfortable. The -2... Look at the -2.5 is plus 105. I mean, okay, I'm off of it, but I get it. This would be one that I probably would move on. All right, we have 2 games left. Let's rock. 10 p.m. Eastern. Houston Astros 41-34, 19-15 on the road at the Los Angeles Dodgers 41-33, 22-14 at home at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, California. Chavez Ravine. I can't wait to be in LA, man. Gonna be in LA in what? 2 weeks. Good God, I need it. 66 Fahrenheit, 10 miles per hour out to right field, goes down to 7.3 miles per hour. A Ballpark Pal has Dodger Stadium at plus 5% homers, minus 12% doubles and triples, minus 3% singles, and minus 5% runs. Troy Torrance says every element of this market says Padres win by margin. I agree, and also Mike M says San Diego's lost 7 in a row as a favorite against the NL East after they win. Jake Burns looking at a Soto homer prop. Here we go. Astros, Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. Let's take a look at this line history here. We'll start with the money line. God, I love Emmett Sheehan's last start. It was a thing of absolute beauty. Is he going to be able to do it to the Astros is the question. This guy's strikeout king, and we'll go over his numbers. Dodgers opened up -142. They're now -135, so we have 6 cents of movement towards the Houston Astros. Let's go over to the total here in this one. This one opened up at 8.5, and it lasted there for 4 minutes before it moved to 9. Interesting. And then back at 8.5 and 9. So it's at 8.5 right now, and we've actually had 4 cents of movement to the under, but the fact that it's moved over to 9 is very interesting, and I'm not sure what to do with it. Let's pull up the cash flow and see if there's a correlated action here. We have 39% of tickets, 49% of cash on the Dodgers, and the line moving towards the Astros. You have 59% of tickets, 79% of cash on the under, and the lines move to the over. I guess it's Emmett Sheehan. It's sad that the Dodgers lost that game because Sheehan was awesome. 6 innings, no hits, 3 Ks, 2 walks, and the Giants are just relentless and came back, which is what they do. TJ says took Astros plus 136 this morning, capped it at 110. Wow. I get it. I don't like JP France as much as others. And look, Sheehan's a monster. This guy is 6th round pick in 2021 out of Boston College, and he hadn't figured it out in Boston College. He wasn't good in Boston College. In his 3rd full season there, he was better, but still at 4.23 ERA and a 1.27 WHIP then. But it was always strikeouts, always been his calling card. So even when he had an 8.16 ERA at Boston College, I mean that is only 14 innings, and he's always just been able to strike people out. That's just been his gift. This year in Tulsa, he's thrown 53 in the 3rd innings. He had 88 strikeouts and 23 walks, only allowed 5 jacks, and went from the AA right up to the Dodgers. This guy just strikeouts everywhere he goes. It's spectacular. The numbers are amazing. If you go back to 2022, high A and at Tulsa and AA, so high A Great Lakes and AA Tulsa, 68 innings, 106 strikeouts, and he only allowed 3 home runs in those 68 innings. I mean, this kid's got it. And I agree with TJ though that they're probably weighing too heavily in his first start. And look at Sharpie. Sharpie agrees. He said, I think Emmett struggles today as the Astros over the past 3 seasons have been the best high velocity fastball hitting team in the league. Wow. JP says, how do the Dodgers feel about robbing this kid of a win they own? Yeah, I agree with TJ Sharpie. I think you guys are right. I think that first start, even though I love Sheehan, I think it's probably overvalued. JP France, though, I don't love as much as others. He's just a professional pitcher. I don't know why I'm not higher on him. 3.42 ERA, 1.20 whip. Maybe just because he wasn't that high of a prospect. But last start at home versus the Reds. The Reds were raking. He looked good, 6 2/3, 2 earned runs. On the road, he's been very good. 1.88 ERA, 209 opponents batting average. Both bullpens have been bad since June 1st, which is not something we're used to. And then the Dodgers aren't hitting righties since June 1st, 237, 677 OPS. So take it away for us here, Bobano. Astros, Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Emmett Sheehan looked impressive against the Giants first start. Really, really good stuff. But, it's one start. It's a small sample size. We'll see how he fares here against the Astros. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. JP France, very solid, 3.42 ERA, 1.88 ERA on the road. And one thing I've noticed too, the Dodgers, I know they won the last two games in that mini LA freeway series there against the Angels, but this is still a lineup that's having a tough time, and it's still a lineup that's swinging and missing quite a bit. I honestly think JP France could maybe get over the strikeout prop here in this game. Now I know as far as France is concerned, he's averaging 7.23 strikeouts per 9, but it goes up to 8.25 on the road. 3 of his last 5 starts, JP has had at least 6 strikeouts. And just right now, they're swinging and missing a lot, this LA Dodgers team. And again, they beat the Angels twice. They only scored 2 runs in each game. So it's definitely not a lineup that's clicking right now. So I am interested in that prop. It's plus money. It's over 4.5, plus 115 for JP France. Over strikeouts. That will be an official play.
It will be an official play. Okay, excuse me. Let's lock it in. France over what was the number? Sorry,
4.5 strikeouts. Yep.
And what juice?
Plus 115. Yep, at Pinnacle. And keep in mind, the Dodgers have never seen him before. First start for France against them.
Sharpie says if he runs K props first, the Dodgers got to have high velocity attack them. You can't get them to chase, as Dodgers have been a place over on K props have gone to die. I know, TJ. I almost didn't add in that last part. I came very close to, but they are a very smart organization, the Astros, and I love the way they brought along France. I didn't realize that he spent so long. Look, that first full year in Tri-City and the Quad Cities and A. It's just a smart way of doing things. Don't force them. Don't push them. And then if you can pitch in Sugarland in the PCL League, then you can pitch anywhere. All right, Bobano on France over 4.5 Ks. I'm off this spot. Let's talk about the final spot on the board. Now, my lean here in Diamondbacks Giants, and I was very interested in, was the under. That market was going against me. We'll see if it still is. And my thought process here is that this is a good ballpark for Zach Davies. And I know that he's been horrific this year, but this is where it's going to work for him. And for whatever reason, he can't pitch in Arizona. I don't know why he's getting lit up the way he is at home. But on the road, and we're talking about a small sample size of 11 2/3, but he's been much better. 12 strikeouts, 3 walks. He's allowed 1 home run, 3 earned runs. And TJ says under, lock it up. I would have already bet this, but then I saw an 8.5 at one book, and I was like, why would that be? Let's figure this one out and then put a bow on our show. Thank you guys so much for running with us here and our star of Fridays, Bobano. This opened up at 57 Fahrenheit, 12.2 miles per hour out. We just know that it does not matter if it's out. Now, yesterday was supposed to have like a minus 30% home runs, and you saw the 3-run jacks in the first few innings, and that Machado was a no-doubter, and it was just a very easy cashier for me. 4-0 on this game yesterday, and that was my only spot. It kept things really clean yesterday, and I'm proud of that. Let's see the expectation here at Oracle. Minus 32% home runs, minus 3% doubles and triples, plus 7% singles, but minus 9% overall, tied with Petco as the least offensive spot here. All right, so Diamondbacks, Giants. I'm very interested now in this under with TJ liking it. TJ says he's bet 12 San Francisco unders this season. And he's 10-2. And look at Roughriders on JP France under 17.5 outs. So here we go. Let's go into the money line here. This was another spot I was surprised the move didn't go towards Logan Webb right away. It didn't. This opened up at minus 181. And, 12 hours after it opened, this was down to minus 164. We still have a 4-cent move towards Arizona. But there was a much bigger move towards Arizona before the public, had their say. Then we'll go over to the total in this spot. There are no longer 8.5s anywhere that I see here. This opened up at 8. I saw 8.5s at one book. I can't remember what book it is offhand. And I just stayed off of it last night. It moved to 8.5 at Pinnacle at 2:08 this morning. And at 11:30, it moved back to 8. Right now, we have 6 cents of movement on the over. Makes me a little uncomfortable. Let's see what the cash is. So we have 6 cents of movement on the over and a move towards the Diamondbacks. You have 60% of tickets and 81% of cash on the Giants, and we have a move to the Diamondbacks. You have 87% of tickets and 95% of cash on the over and really no movement. Well, that makes me like the under again. Not only does it make me like the under, but it tells me Zach Davies is going to pitch well. I'm not going to – I don't see how I can fade really Logan Webb at home. He's just so good there. But the market kind of makes me want to. I agree, TJ. Only 6 cents and all that cash. This is a bet that should be made right away. Zach Davies, we've talked about. Logan Webb, a 3.11 ERA, 1.11 whip. And last start was very good at LA. 7 innings, 2 earned runs. At home, he's gone 39 2/3. He has a 2.04 ERA, 41 strikeouts, just 7 walks. He has allowed 5 home runs. Not bad. 233 opponents batting average. Look, the Diamondbacks are hitting righties, 275 816, and so are the Giants, 251 763. Diamondbacks bullpen hasn't been that good since June 1st. The Giants bullpen has been elite. I am going to add the under here. Take it away, Bobano, my friend. Our final game on the card. You've been great. Diamondbacks, Giants.
Yeah, easy pass. No, I want no part of this game. San Francisco, I don't like backing teams when they've had a long win streak. They get the win streak snapped, and they got to come back the next day. Sometimes that's, I don't want to say a hangover, but, I don't think it's an automatic San Francisco wins this game. But it's not a good situation for Zona. They're traveling east to west, just like Washington we talked about. That's a tricky spot for them. I have no faith in Davies, although, again, his ERA actually on the road is a lot better, 2.31. If he's going to figure it out, it's here, but I don't want to back him after he got crushed in his last 2 starts. Albeit, again, that was in Arizona. Let's see how he does on the road, but don't want him, don't want the Diamondbacks. Don't love this price for a Giants team that just had their win streak snapped. I don't love backing teams when they've had a long win streak snapped, so this becomes an easy pass for me.
This becomes a double up for me. I'm going to trust Davies here, which is a tricky thing to do. I know that Logan Webb can be trusted, but this offense is tough. All this money on the over because of Zach Davies and because, people think Arizona bats can get to Logan Webb. This is a double up now on the under. Awesome. I love it. TJ. I'm completely with you. And Joe Yurkovich giving us great stats. Exciting to have some additions here because I like my card already and we're coming off perfection yesterday. Let's review all action here. And God damn, this chat has been so great. The specialty plays we have in the chat, the Ribeye play today, Ron Crawford spreadsheet, TJ's gift, just running at such a high rate. And I love it. I'm very nervous about my Alouettes action, minus 105. Don Play said that should he move on at plus 117. I was like, I'm pretty uncomfortable with it. Bobana's on the other side. I'm not going to buy off of it. I'm also on the over 43.5, and I like it. Now, weather is going to be a factor. On Saturday, Bobana's on the over 45.5 in Saskatchewan, Calgary. I'm going to study it a little more. I like it. I am on the over 44.5 in Argonauts, Elks, and Bobana's on the over 44. So let's talk about action here. Top set is on Philly in the under 8.5. He's on the Texas Rangers, Detroit money line, the minus 1.5, and he's on Baltimore money line. Marco Lou's on the A's. He's on the Blue Jays over 9. I might move on the under in that one. I got to wait. He's on the Orioles under 8 and the Pirates Marlins over 8. Clint gave us an addition to his card. He's given us all of his action here. And let me just add it here. He is on the Trevor Peak. That's his 2-unit addition. So let's get going through the card. Moose Money's on the Braves, first 5 in full game. Rocco Rogers on the over 10.5. Tone Miggins is on Ellie De La Cruz over 1.5 bases. That's the fast cash play of the day. And BJ's on the Braves, full game. Joe Yurkovich on the Reds, team total over 4.5. Stacks play of the days. Albies over 1.5 bases. And Bobano moved on the over 11. I'm on the first 5 over 6. Got that minus 115. Luke Murphy making a big bet on the Rays, team total over 4.5. Bobano's on Eflin to get the win at minus 105, and Eflin over 5.5 Ks minus 134. I'm off. I am moving on the Tigers. I'm adding that. Gambler's first glance is on the Tigers. Bobano's on the Tigers, team total over 3.5. I will be moving on the Tigers full game. Then Luzardo over 6.5 Ks at plus 122 for Bobano. I'm off that one. Bobano's on Kodai Senga over 6.5 Ks at plus 155, and Taiwan Walker over 4.5 Ks at plus 114. TJ's on the Seattle Baltimore first 5 over 4.5. I want to study that a little more. The Ribeye play of the day that's up 9.95 units with an ROI of over 70% is on Adolis Garcia at plus 155. Bobano is on the Rangers team total over 4 at minus 125. That was 4 straight, right? 4 flat.
Yep.
Minus 125.
Yep.
Bobano's on Bassett to get the win at plus 110 and over 5.5 Ks at minus 102. I'm interested in this under 9. I want to see if the market moves 9.5. If it does, that might get me off of it, but I am interested in it. Jose's on the A's plus 1.5 at plus 135. And there's our guy, Fat Wally, with his NASCAR action. Pop that up in the chat here. Thank you for sharing that with us, Fat Wally. And Mr. Gokster wants to give us NASCAR action on Thursdays here. We're in discussions about that. Mr. Gokster missing us and wanting to be a part of our show. I'm on the first 3 under 2.5 and the first 5 under 4.5 in Milwaukee, Cleveland. I'm on the exact same bet in Boston, Chicago White Sox. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play today's Boston minus 112. Bobano got the Red Sox minus 110 and Bayo over 5.5 Ks. Jose's on the Red Sox and the first 5 under 4.5. The hip to be square play of the day is Miami, Boston. Marlins, Red Sox at plus 183. I'm on the first 5 under 6.5 in Angels, Rockies, and I'm very interested in moving on the Rockies as well. Bobano's on Sandoval over 4.5 Ks minus 134 and Freeland over 3.5 Ks plus 115. If I move on the Rockies, it'll be first 5. Bobano's on the Padres, team total over 4.5. You know, the minus 1.5 is a play I get. And God, I maybe move on it too. Bobano's on JP France over 4.5 Ks at plus 115. And I'm adding the double up in Arizona, San Francisco. There we go. That is our show for the day. Thank you, guys.
Not enough bets on this show today. Not enough.
Ooh, we got action. That's the way we want to start our weekends, with a ton of action. And look, it takes a lot of work to put in this much action.
Yep.
It takes a ton of work, and to succeed with it as well. Nate Cerna's got the Padres minus 1.5. I wonder if I'm jumping on that too. Thank you, guys. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much. Thank you to our producer, Jose Buquete, does such a great job. Thank you, Andrew G, Nate Cerna, Saturated, Mike M, Fat Wally, James S, Troy Torrance, Rocco Rogers. Tell me you didn't just say that. Darren Turner, Viper NB, Joe Yurkovich, TJ, Mike M. These guys are such big parts of the show. Dizzy Rothstein talking about the bad travel spot for the Diamondbacks. AOD, Christopher Commentini, BJ, who gave y'all Padres yesterday, and he's putting a huge amount of money on the Giants today. I get it. I love the unders. I can't wait to watch that game. Kong's Clips is on the Giants minus 1.5. Says terrible spot for Arizona, 3 cities in 3 days. Tell me you didn't just say that. Sharpie, all of you guys, thank you so much. JT Eel, Rocco, Jay Peasy, Robert Franklin, Noli Knows, Londo, who celebrated his birthday yesterday. All of you, thank you guys so much. Truly, we have nothing without you. Moose Money, great to have you back in action. Mr. Heat, Joey Marinaccio, Mally Mal. It was great. Ron Walsek, all of you guys. Mark Schillingberg, what a group. It is time to get in a little bit of extra action and then have a wild night of action. Isn't it fun having all this action? It's so much fun what we do. Bobano, spectacular work. I love the opportunity to cap these giant Friday cards with us. TJ says 2 more likes. I guess we're very close to triple digit in likes. It means a ton to us. Thank you for liking the show and helping us promote it. It means everything to us. Bobano, my man, can you bless our action and leche us into the future?
Yeah, thanks to everyone. Hit the like button. Great support from everyone in the chat as always. It's always fun to be on this show. Let's have a great Friday night. Let's have a profitable Friday night. Let's have a great weekend ahead. And leche and los bookmakers.